without the ball, a lot of character.
Yeah, last one from me. I know you've been in a few finals, so you got experience of this. What do you do for the next? I know there's a break now, so it's 2 weeks. What do you do in the next 2 weeks? You can't really practice. How do you keep the guys busy and keep them up for the final?
Yeah, we'll see who we play and where we play, and once we know that, I think if we play Leinster, it's a Friday final. If we play the Stormers, it's a Saturday final. That will obviously influence our planning on training days. When we train, do we have to fly? Where do we have to fly to? And so on. And then we'll plan that. We've got two possible scenarios that we're waiting to finalize. How are we going to deal with the next 2 weeks? But once we know the result of the next semi-final, we'll put the plan in place. But in a sense, Jan, I think it's just to freshen up the players. We are going to go back to South Africa. We're not going to stay here and wait. So we're going to go back to South Africa regardless of where we play. And then we're going to give the boys a few days to recover. And then we'll start planning and building for the final.
Baie dankie, Jan.
Dankie.
Hey, Kobus, thank you. Your turn.
Thanks, Clinton. Akkers, ja, nogmaals geluk met drukwekkende sege. Wat was jou, julle was voor rustyd, was jy 21-3 agter en toe rustyd was dit 21-10. Wat was jou boodskap aan die spelers in die kleedkamer gewees?
Die coaches het hulle boodskappe gegee wat ons moet na kyk defensively en op attack. En toe het van die senior spelers gepraat oor ons is in hierdie scenario. Ons het 'n besluit om te maak of ons gaan stil bly en almal in hulle dop gaan kruip en of ons vir mekaar meer gaan speel. En ek dink my grootste boodskap was, ons het voor die tyd gesê, ons is hierso om te fight. En al wat ons soek is 1-3. Geef vir ons 1-3 vroeg in die game en vroeg in die tweede helfte en dan vat ons dit van daar af. En hulle het presies gedoen wat ou gevra het. So dis genade en ou is dankbaar daarvoor. En ons daai 3 druk, jy weet 21-17. Natuurlik was daai ander 3 belangrik om 'n 10 te maak, want daai 3 het weet dit dan sê in 'n game, jy's 4 punte agter en dan is enige iets moontlik. En ons het dit gedoen en toe het ons obviously deur die ouens die momentum begin swaai. Soos ek sê, behalwe dat ons voorgekom het ek net gevoel het elke ou wat opgekom het ook 'n verskil gemaak van die bank af op die regte tyd. So ons is dankbaar daarvoor.
Akkers net, uiteraard, julle sal vanaand wil fokus op dit wat julle vandag wil, of wat julle vandag bereik het. Maar wat beteken dit vir die span? Julle gaan ongeag wat die uitslag is en die ander halfeindstryd gaan julle gaan wegspeel. Wat beteken dit vir julle selfvertroue dat julle span soos die Warriors weg van die huis af kon gewen het in die opbou tot daai eindstryd?
Ja, ek glo ons het baie vertroue uit dit vat, Kobus. Natuurlik het ons nog niks bereik nie. Jy weet, as jy almal sal onthou maar net die spanne wat gewen het, so ou kan nie weg in vervoering raak en weg hardloop en dit nie ons, maar jy ten minste gee jouself 'n kans. En ek dink die les wat ons vanaand geleer het is baie keer gaan dinge sleg gaan as jy kalm bly en jouself na jouself kyk en vir mekaar ondersteun, dan kan jy dit draai, jy weet. En ek dink dit sal ons baie hopelik help. Want ou weet nooit hoe die momentum gaan wees in so 'n finaal nie en ons het gewys oor die 80 minute kan soveel goed gebeur. So ja, verseker sal die ouens baie vertroue uit dit vat.
Dankie Akkers, geniet vanaand.
Dankie julle.
Because when you play altitude, like it's a different challenge altogether because the conditions are different from what most other teams would be used to. And obviously the style of game that they play there, where they try to get down to the set piece, but they also want to try and play fast as well, and they have multiple threats because they can go through you, but they've also, when they do go through you, then that tries to compress the defence, and then they've got the speed to go around you as well. So listen, obviously we've been up against like the Jake White Bulls for the last few seasons on different occasions, during the regular season games, but semi-finals and a final as well. And Jake is a very, very astute coach since Johan has come in. There is some changes in the way they play the game for sure, but it's still based on some pretty solid fundamentals that they have in their game as well. So And that was the big thing is with the South African teams coming into our domestic competition, which is forming the URC that we have today. I think it's an amazing competition, and it's a unbelievably privilege to be here at this stage of the competition at a final. If you'd asked me when we were sitting here last, do you remember when that was? After round 4, when we lost 3 of our first 4 games, would we be in the situation we're playing in a final in Croke Park? I think everyone was very crazy at that point because we'd already lost more games in the regular season than we had during the entire regular season last season. So, and we were, as I said, 4 rounds in, and we had 20 odd players heading off to international camp, so they weren't going to be playing in the next couple of games. So it's been an amazing squad effort, I think, to get to this stage. And listen, it's great to still be playing rugby this time of year. And hopefully we'll have a great day, but we know it's going to be a serious challenge because we're up against a serious team. So like I'm sort of flip-flopping here. Yeah, we want to be really respectful to the opposition, but we also need to be very focused on ourselves and what makes Leinster great. And we've got some great individuals in our team that will be potentially playing for Leinster for the last time tomorrow as well. So we want to make sure we put in a big performance for all the right reasons.
And just then, obviously, a big blow with being without Andrew Ford this week, but can you talk to us a little bit about Jerry Kerr? I can't imagine this time last year you would have thought he'd be starting out against potentially the best scrum in the world in a URC final.
Well, that's it. Like, even if you think back to after round 4, our very next game was round 5, and Jerry's playing against Zebra. So, but to see his progression through the season has been amazing, and it's a great sort of story of persistence, perseverance, isn't it? Like, because he was in the system, and even though he was sort of not falling out of the system, because listen, he's back playing with club, battling out at AL with a few different teams, Belgium, Trinity and Lansdowne. So he's moving around to try and progress himself all the time. So to see him progress with us during the course of the season, he's had some huge moments for us, some huge games. But if you think about it, as I said, like the last time we were here, like it only just brings me back to round 5 Zebra, where we had 6 debutants that day in round 5, which is a bizarre number, isn't it? Mid-season in a round 5 game to have 6 debutants, and Jerry and Alex Uslanov was probably doing one as well that day. But to see the rise of both those guys over the course of the season is it's a testament to those guys first and foremost. And I don't think anyone thinks they're going to let the team down tomorrow or on Friday, because they're bloody great characters.
Anybody in South Africa or not in the room who'd like to ask questions, please put up your virtual hand.
I can't raise my hand, but I would like to ask a question, please.
Away.
Okay. Leo, given the player that you lost in the front row, how much of a bigger challenge would the scrums be or the set pieces be for you?
Yeah, Andrew's missed a big chunk of the season already. So, listen, guys have plenty of exposure during the course of the season. But, yeah, he's a top player, Andrew. But, we would always have huge faith in the group that we have. So, our group dynamic is pretty unusual, isn't it? Because we lose the international players for a huge chunk of the regular URC games anyway. So everyone gets plenty of time during the course of the season. We use a lot of players, probably, I don't know, is it more than other teams, but guys get lots of exposure, and everyone needs to be ready at any moment, and it's one guy down, next man up. So we don't try to get too bogged down by that.
Yeah. I know you said you respect the opposition, but what about your team do you think poses the biggest threat to them without giving tactics away?
When you look at it, like the last season's final, the guys, when they're playing at home, like in front of friends, family, like it means a huge amount to them, as you imagine. And similar for the Bulls team, in terms of what they've had to do to get to this point as well. And they've had their challenge during the course of the season, new coach coming in, and listen to all the disruptions they've had at different stages. So, but that's the beauty of the season that we have, isn't it? So it's very much on the day now. So, yeah, it's been a little bit unusual. We've had, 12 games in a row. and then you had a weekend off. So it was weird last weekend in terms of the prep part of that. So we see Bulls on the flip side. Listen, they're up in Murrayfield and they fly back to South Africa, spend time with their family, and they come back again for a fresh week this week. So it's a huge game. Two very, very good teams. It's on the day. Our guys over the course of the season, you can see when we click the quality that's in the group, and we need to make sure we go and show what we're able about as a group this week, individually and collectively. So, but the Bulls, as we saw in the semi-final against Glasgow, they don't fear coming away from home. Glasgow again probably been a form team this season, and obviously finished top of the log as well. So listen, we know, and even Glasgow 21-3 in that game ahead, you can see the Bulls, they just stay in the fight. So listen, we just need to make sure we're really clinical in everything that we do. And pulling Bulls under as much pressure as possibly can, but like that's easy saying that. The hard part is actually doing it.
Yeah. Last one from me. Does it say something about the competition that two teams that you struggled, you had your own struggles, well documented with being able to select your frontline selection? The Bulls had a poor start. You both guys, in the latter half or the second half of the season, came together and are now in the final.
The time you're on is the key, is it? And that's the thing. Like, you just need to get all the way through. Listen, it's the second final we've been. It's our 7th playoff game this season. And it's been a really enjoyable season from our point of view. Like, as in, we've a great group. As I said, like, we've got some guys finishing after this weekend, have been amazing servants for Leinster Rugby. Some other guys that are a little bit shorter in the building, but have been brilliant characters to work with. Listen, I think every team goes through this at this time of season. So it's the last game, and this is now the last game. So we've done, listen, the group have worked incredibly hard. I mean, the playing group, but also the staff as well, to get the group to this point, and still be fit and firing. And it's, there is a little bit of sort of last man standing about it, isn't it? But that's the amazing thing about the competition, because, as I said, like, we played Bulls, as you know, in round 2. So we came away from the tour of South Africa, where we got beaten 35-0 by Stormers, who we faced in the semi-final. We lost to the Bulls, but it was 39-31, was it? Having beaten Bulls here in the final at the end of last season. So, like, there's all these different subplots during the course of a season. But you've got to battle it out for every single point to try and get yourself in the best possible shape. Listen, as I said, the group have had to do an insane amount of work to get us to be back here, because honestly, I don't think anyone would have foreseen after round 4 that we would be here. Particularly, as I said, we were getting ready for that round 5 game, and we had 6 debutants that day. Listen, it's great, but like I said, that's sort of, it's in the past now. We've given ourselves this opportunity. What an amazing opportunity it is for us. So, and I said, listen, we've been to a final already where we would love to have an opportunity to go back and play that final again. But as we know, you don't get those second chances, and you don't get to play a final again. But listen, for us, there's lots of positives that we can lean on from last year, but there's also some learnings, painful learnings from a final that took place in Bilbao a few weeks ago. So it's just about putting all that into action there for us.
Yeah, thanks very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
I see a hand from Nathan Gogela. Anybody else who'd like to ask questions, please raise your virtual hand.
Thank you very much. Just got 2 questions, if I may.
Far away up.
Awesome, thank you. Good day, Leo. Coach, so just talk us through what you make of that Bulls side, because I mean, just released a few minutes ago. The most of the guys in that Bulls 23 have experience playing in the final against you guys. I mean, what do you make of that side, if you have seen it so far?
Yeah, there's no huge amount of quality, isn't there, in the team that the Bulls have assembled. And listen, I think huge credit. Listen, I'm very fond of Jake, who was there before. And listen, I think he did a great job in terms of assembling year on year, getting the squad better and better. And Johan, I know from his times, even when he was with Gloucester, we played Gloucester in a pre-season game, and he's steeped in this tradition as well, South African tradition, and he understands the mindset and what's important in terms of Bulls DNA. So, well, year on year, listen, we can see how the teams are getting stronger and stronger. So, yeah, it's a proper challenge for us, isn't it? But what else would you want, from our point of view? And as I've talked in the past about watching Bulls teams over the years, I saw Victor Matfield did some piece during the week, and watching the great Bulls team that he was part of, and how dominant they were in Super Rugby, and what a force they were in terms of the quality squad that they had. And listen, the Bulls squad is stacked with experience, lots of international experience there. So yeah, it's a serious test for our guys. But as I said, where else would you want to be and playing a final against a team like that?
Then final one, if I may, just talk us through the impact of a Jock Nabe. I mean, just to talk us through about these impacts with the squad this season.
He's brilliant. Well, what is this third season now with Jack? So if you think he came after the last World Cup, and yeah, to have a double World Cup winning coach in our group, it's remarkable, really, for us to be able to have that. So, and yeah, him and his family have settled into life in Dublin. And listen, I love working with Jack, and he's a brilliant character. Gets the balance right between the fun part and the work part, which is important, because over the course of a season, listen, you kind of live in each other's pockets as well. But he's been immense for Leinster Rugby in terms of what we've all learned from him, because he's a defensive genius, really, is the way I would see it. And I would have admired lots of the great things that he's done with South Africa over the years. So to have him in the group here is amazing. But listen, and his system is very much geared up for big days like this, and hopefully you'll see it with the players in terms of how aggressive we can be from a defensive point of view, and we're really attacking the Bulls when we don't have possession. So when Bulls are in possession, I think that'll be an interesting sort of to observe how the Bulls go about playing against Jack's defensive system, because they will have a good understanding with obviously Pollard and Vinny Leroux that will know him very, very well. So it's a sort of fascinating dynamic in how that plays out. But ultimately, yeah, listen, Jack's been immense for us as a group, and the players love working with him.
Hey guys, that's the end of the live section. We'll move into
and Walker sister coach Zwan realistic. First 10 minutes open for bloggers. After that, blocking it, and then it's just questions. So yeah, please raise your hands for questions so we can get as many in as possible, and we can power away. Like?
How's it, Receipts? Okay. I see a little bit of suspense as to your choice of 10. So.
Oh, I think Mali's played a lot of rugby on that side. We must see does Andre get through the game this weekend without an injury. And I think we've learned our lessons last year when we played the Barbarians, or it was Japan, and we got an injury to Oxen chair. And we really didn't have to play Oxen in that specific game because he was match fit and everything. And then Jan Hendrik got suspended, and then eventually we had to go with Boan and Gerrit, who did really well. So we're trying just to avoid that with Moni. And then also, obviously, we want to see Kian Horn, can he play 10-15? Hopefully in future that will help with 6-2 splits, and because we know he can play wing by 15. And the guys, the other assistant coaches, all of us really see something special in him when it comes to 10. And then Vusi on the bench, I must say he's one of the guys that really caught the eye, I would say, in this 2 weeks. Very calm guy, physical, big kicks really without effort. So we think the two of them can do the job for us.
Right. Rusty, I think last year this week didn't on for any of the kicks against Barbarian. You guys would play some lineouts until Wesley comes on from the bench. Who's actually kicking your conversion?
Cheslin.
Cheslin has been kicking for his club in Japan the whole season, and he's always a backup for us. So I think we saved there.
Kieran is also a good kicker.
Rusty, what is it that you see in Kwan's game profile that made you look at him and saying, let's get you in?
Well, obviously Tony and Stock has big influence there. I think what he does for the Lions, maybe there's not a 10 on his back, but he certainly comes into the mix a lot at 10, at first receiver. And we've been working with him now for, 3 years at training sessions, and we just like the way he takes the ball to the line. He's an awesome defender. He's got a really great pass, and he's not bumped. He's not a guy that's all afraid for if somebody runs into that channel. And I think we're lucky with having guys like Sasha. I mean, Mani, people look at his size. He's an awesome defender. And then the same with Andre. So we'd like to keep it the same. Vusi is also a great defender. So, I think it is going to be a little bit new for him to start with on 10, but he does it a hell of a lot in his franchise. Not starting at 10, alternating through general play at 10.
But I see, it's Carlos' first outing with you guys. How has he settled in since he joined?
Yeah, Carlo, we actually forget that he's been at a lineman camp before. Sometimes you forget it's so long ago. No, I think what I can pick up from him is he's really grateful to be here. Or, he stated it before for a lineman camp, and he's certainly done really well at his club. It's not a lot of us that can say we've won Champions Cups. He's one of those guys who can say that. He's not an old guy. He's a guy who comes junior, structures. He's played for us, and then at one stage he had a really bad injury. I think he was signing with somebody, and then there was a bit of a spell out. So I can see he's a desperate guy. Not desperate in the sense that if he doesn't make it, he's nowhere desperate to wear the jersey, which is quite important.
Starting on the weird course in the Springbok lineup, but there is an issue with GSP will be and will be and that not a sliding.
Yeah, if you look at the covers that we've got, the Luan, also as a fullback, and more especially also with his Sevens background, and he's settling nicely there. Both of them at the Sharks, they've played at fullback, so I think when we look at the profile of the players, we thought, with having Luan at the back, I think it will probably, because once again, Rasi touched on it, is that 10s and 15, they act more like a playmaker role when it comes to our system, and then CI can also do that job and is a backup for it, but we thought at wing, when you look at the profiles of the players, I think, more especially with the way we play the game, if you remember, talk about our kicking game, we felt like having CI at wing would give us a bit of advantage in the sense of getting into that battle in the air. And Jaco Williams also on the other side, probably one of the players that I felt like, it's been coming for him, he's been knocking. Like we always say, size doesn't matter to us. And you saw the boy when he plays for the Sharks, he's got a big heart, a massive work rate. And then if you look at the profile of the players that we've got, I'm talking about Cheslin Kobe and Ketley Arends, and when you look at the profile of Jaco Williams, he's got a potential to become almost the same as those guys in the future, But once again, like Coach Rassi said, all three of those players at the back, I think they've got a bit of good X factor. But I think the most important thing for us is we want to see the foundation if they will be able to do things the way the Springboks will do. And then once again, without forgetting their X factor, we always appreciate it. We want them to bring it. But I think the biggest test for us in this game will be probably to operate as a Springbok team.
Thanks, Doctor. Quite an interesting setup here as well. I mean, the Boks have had interesting setup pairings over the years. They were not up ones. What are you trying to see from the two? I'm obviously being the gift of the senior dude.
I'll be honest about it. Since Tony joined us in 2024, one of his first messages regarding to Lucanio's arm, you would probably love to see Lucanio at 12, So even Lucanio, when he was with us last year, he was always running at 12. So, but we couldn't get an opportunity for him to get there. Because if you remember, we had guys like Damien Alende, we had guys like Andre, the hybrid. So we couldn't get a chance to give Lucanio an opportunity there. So we looked at both players now at the moment, and that was a discussion in the sense of who's the best profile for 12, and then once again, it was a great opportunity for us, especially with his experience, Lucanio at 12 to take the lead. He's also a vice captain, and I'm also good to see him in good shape, because he's been a seasoned campaigner now for his team in Japan. Injuries, hopefully they can stay away from him. So yeah, I'm happy for him to be back also, but once again, I think when it comes to Lucanio, we've always planned to if the opportunity comes, to give him a go at 12.
That's it. First of all, congratulations on being here to channel Friday press conference to choose a personal congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask you, how do I double the why we are such a good supporters with the casting? Is this the future on top of the Springbok country where what's the plan with this Israel side?
Man, I think when Coach Russ, whenever he talks about our team goals, he always mentions we always want to win. That's number one, you understand? And number two, we always want to build the squad depth. That's not a secret. It's something that we openly talk about it. And when it comes to potential in South African rugby, we've got a lot of great players, and then once again, the public always, why this player doesn't get an opportunity, And then one thing that I can say with Coach Russ, he always look for opportunities where if we can make sure that we bring the players that are performing for their franchise, we always reward them in a sense of experience training with the team. And also when we get opportunities to give them some game time. So one thing that I enjoy compared to, let's say, for example, the previous team, SA team that played against in UK, those guys didn't really have probably Tony Brown as an attack coach. Do you understand? Jerry Flannery as an attack coach. I think these guys that we've got now, if they're getting the best possible support in the sense of they're doing everything that the other guys that are playing against Baba. So we've coached both teams at the same. I think now when it comes to this game as a SA, I think we are in a way better position, in the sense of being prepared. We've had 2 weeks to work with them. And like once again, for me, I'm excited. I'm always excited to see youngsters getting opportunities, and we always talk about it, that, listen, we're going to build a squad depth. I think that's one of the main things that we've got this ASA team. And also on the other side, Zimbabwe, they're going to the World Cup. So it's a team that is very motivated, and I'm happy for them. And I'm happy the fact that Coach Rasi did agree to give them a practice game. And yeah, so I think hopefully we can give them a good run in a sense of preparing them also to go to the World Cup.
Any last working questions? Progress? No?
You go. This being obviously, let's talk about around Secretary's coming from high school last year at the Sharks as well. So when he did a couple of URC matches, what have you seen from him in his time like in the ball camp? That's sort of interesting.
The one thing about him that I can tell you, if you look from the outside, for example, before I started working with him, watching him at the Sharks, no doubt that everyone knows that he's a very special player. He's got a good X factor, and then when you start working with him, he doesn't really say much. He's just a smiley guy, he always smiles, yes, coach, so, and I'm glad that we're getting an opportunity to work with them while they're still at that age, to understand, because of, once again, I'll be honest with you guys, it's not easy to come and rub shoulders with the likes of Eben and the Sia Colises. You talk about someone who was at school last year, so we always want to make sure that we give them opportunity at a young age where they can rub shoulders. That's why we've got alignment camps. They must get used to each other. They must get used to, because again, like we always say, when it comes to our environment, we always want to empower them also. Even if you are 19 or you are 20, the more you take full ownership of what needs to be done, you become a leader. So I feel like at the moment, the more we empower those boys, and also the more they understand how we operate the Springboks, I think the better for them, do you understand? And then once again, the last thing when it comes to that, I've played SNR 21s while I was playing sevens. So mindset-wise, coming from the senior environment, when you go to the probably junior World Cup, it does boost you mental-wise. It does help you. It does motivate you. It gives you a confidence. So I know one thing for sure. After these guys, they're done with us, those that are selected for the junior box, it will bring a massive impact in their mindset in the sense of how to operate. And hopefully that's the standard they can also, do on the other side, But once again, we know the junior box on the other side. Kev is doing a great job with that team. So, but like I said, when it comes to mindset-wise, I think it's going to boost their confidence.
Bloggers off, and then first in, then you go.
You went to great leagues to train yourself in this all over the rest of the Indies. I don't know, still not calling on.
Come on, this way. Good. Very good. Good. Nice stuff. Big fan, by the way. I'm a big fan. Oh, thank you. At least someone's a big fan of me. It's not just Omar.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports. And the South Africans have cleaned up at the URC Awards with 9 out of 15 players in the URC Elite 15 coming from South Africa. Not all from South African teams, with Werner Kok representing South Africa whilst representing Ulster, but also lots of South Africans in and amongst the main winners, with the likes of Chris Smith finishing as the highest point scorer, with Quine Horn winning the award for the Ironman for basically playing the most minutes, as well as the top try scorer going to Evan Ruiz. So once again, South Africa really starting to show their value in the URC, and with 2 sides left in the last 4, the only nation with 2 sides left in the semi-finals. Is this going to be an opportunity for us to try and create another all-South African franchise final? Maybe add another trophy to the South African URC mix, if we go and see the Bulls and the Stormers get victories over this weekend. Even if they don't, I think the main thing is South Africa are really fully integrated into the URC. They're also full shareholders now, so they're going to get the financial benefit of it. But also when it comes to the stats, when it comes to the competition, there is no doubt that there is big contributions coming from the South African sides, and that they are adding a lot of value. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So your main winner for the URC Awards was Tom Bone. who was named the next gen player of the season after an incredible season at Cardiff. And I think that it's been one of the few shining lights, really, with regards to the Welsh rugby. Is the likes of Tom Bone. I think a couple are individuals who are really, really strong in some of the sides, despite the fact that the Welsh teams in general didn't have a particularly good showing. But I always think interesting and really cool, and I spoke about this in one of the videos recently. We talk about like your URC and domestic competition like legends, and they're not always necessarily your international players, because your international players don't play a lot of the rugby. And if you go look at sort of the Dream 15, for example, a lot of the players in it aren't necessarily consistently picked for internationals, and as a result they get to play a lot more URC, and they kind of be able to sort of create their own legacy within the competition. So Evan Roos, for example, is a URC legend over the last 5 years. When you think about the number of tries he's scored, he's won the player of the season before, he's always featured really highly within the URC. Whilst he hasn't been able to translate that to more Springbok caps and to international success, in the URC level, he has been phenomenal. And it's really cool to sort of see these players being able to get recognized. So, for example, Chris Smith was the Gilbert Golden Boot with the most points across the, and all these awards are basically across the league stage, in inverted commas. They don't include the playoffs, because obviously not all the players will play, given the teams that go through and the teams that have not. But Chris Smith has been fantastic for the Lions. He's, you know, Imone Stain regen type of thing. Now, he doesn't fit the Bok mold in the current mix and the way he kind of plays. So as a result, he's not getting Springbok call-ups. He's not really even in lineman camps. But he's got the golden boot for playing week in, week out, being consistent and contributing a lot. You then got the tackle machine, which is Ben Carter from the Dragons. Ironman, Quine Horn. I tell you what, when you look at the Springbok selections, and in fact, in the midst of an injury crisis, one of the most reliable players, this is the second time he's actually won the award. And exceptional fitness being shown by Quine Horn. And hopefully this is going to be his year where he gets an opportunity in the box, because I think he's just been playing too good rugby to kind of be left out. Then you got the playmaker, which is Jack Walsh from Ospreys. As mentioned, the OFX try scorer, top try scorer is Evan Roos, and Tom Bone with the player of the season. Then we look at the Elite 15, and this is the Elite 15, and as mentioned, a big South African contingent in the front row. Instuka Klunu, I think a lot of people are actually saying it when I asked the question, that this could be his breakout year, that this is going to, hopefully, if he can stay fit, going to be the year where he comes through, puts his hand up, and launches that international career. Because he's had caps, he's been in around box camps, but he's been injury prone. And he made the move to the Stormers last year, and I think it's paid absolute dividends. He's been consistent, he's been consistently one of their top players, and really rewarded the faith that the Stormers have shown. Jan Kobler as well, you know, given the fact that Malcolm Marx is now potentially injured, will also, I think, get an extended run in the box squad. Thomas Clarkson coming through for Ireland as well. Been a big part of that Leinster success. Derek Murray, also a very talented player. Next to Kobus Visa, somebody who, again, with an injury crisis, with Lock, although Luat Diaga, Luat Diaga, and another lock supposed to be, Peter Step the Toy, said to be fit for the internationals here. But Kobus Visa is somebody who will be trying to get more Bok opportunities. Ken Prendergast has been a very consistent performer for a long time for Connacht. And if you look at this Elite 15, you're obviously going to find players who aren't in some of the playoff teams or semi-final teams, for example. I mean, obviously Connacht was there last week, but it goes to show again that some of these players are playing week in, week out for their clubs and at a really high level. And Ken Prendergast, I think, is exactly that. Evan Roos, the number 8 jersey. Ron Fainted, the number 7 jersey. You know, rumours more that Rassie Rasmus was looking to use him as a number 4 for the box this year before that injury, but he's been fantastic for the Lions. Then Bruce Appear, probably, I'm surprised he wasn't up. I think he probably would have been a big contention for player of the season. Definitely the South African player of the season. Next, Fami Gomezulu. I think it's a bit harsh on Chris Smith to put him ahead at number 10, given the fact that Chris Smith was the leading point scorer, but has had some very good moments in that Stormers jersey. I'm not entirely sure if I'd say he was the most consistent 10 across the entire tournament, but definitely the best 10 in the competition. I don't think there's any doubt about that as far as I'm concerned, and it's going to be a huge loss this weekend for the Stormers. You then got Stuart McCloskey and Staffan McDowell in the centre. McCloskey, he's becoming almost a drop ball for Ireland as well, and this is all coming through from his form in Ulster. Carl Rowe, the number 11 jersey, and then the two South Africans, Quine Horn and Werner Kok, who was dropped from Ulster in that Challenge Cup final quite controversially. but has been recognised as the number 14, which just shows you how good he has been for Ulster. So it's been a bit of a weird one. They hasn't kind of been rated higher, given the fact that when he's played, he's been full value for kind of the money and the investment, in inverted commas, that they spent on him. So that is the Elite 15. What changes would you make? What do you make of the Elite 15? Which players are you surprised about? Which players would you like to have seen? And kind of what's your thoughts about another URC season in the bag for the South African teams and kind of where we are within the URC? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports. The Bulls have named no less than 11 Springboks in their starting 15 as they look to try and win their maiden URC title in Ireland on Friday night against Leinster. And it's such an imposing Leinster side that you're going to need all the help you can get. And 11 Springboks with a couple more off the bench is a good way to try and do that. And especially the type of Springboks that Johan Ackerman as at his disposal. Something like a Andre Pollard, who might have struggled in the semi-final, has been there and done that in 2 World Cup finals. Kurt Leinster, Kane Moody, Willie LaRue, these are all World Cup winners, and they'll need all this experience and more if they are to come out on top with Friday night. Interesting to see Wilco Louw still being deployed off the bench as 6-2 split as well for Johan Ackerman. And I think that he's basically saying that this match lies in the forwards, which is pretty much exactly right. If the Bulls can impose themselves, if they can find that scrum ascendancy and set-piece dominance, it'll go a long way towards them getting their first opportunity to lift that trophy. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. This is the side. And we'll go through it. So 1 through to 15, it is Gerard Stenenkamp, Johan Grobbelaar, and Francois Klopper in the front row. Big opportunity for Gerard Stenenkamp and Johan Grobbelaar to impress Rassie Erasmus. And Francois Klopper, well, he's in the side based on the performance he put in the quarterfinals a couple of weeks ago, where he absolutely decimated that Munster pack, despite being a late inclusion with Wilco Louw being out sick. And he's basically been continuing in that starting role and relegated Wilco Louw to an impact player because he's just handled it so well. We all know that Wilco Louw is the form tight end, arguably in world rugby at the moment, but Francois Klopper has shown that he is more than capable of holding his own. And if he can do a job this weekend, I'll tell you what, Springbok ambitions start to come to the table. Ruan Vermaak for me is a player who I think has been very underrated in the last couple of years for the Bulls. Him and Ruan Nokia have formed a really good partnership. And I think Ruan Vermaak has been an unsung hero in a Bulls side. But Ruan Nokia, I mean, we're talking about a Bulls legend in his last game for the franchise. Potentially might come back later on in his career, but at least for now, this will be his final game for the Bulls. And what a way to leave the Bulls than to win a trophy. He's captained the Bulls. He's been a stalwart in the side. He's now a regular Springbok. He's probably looking good to go to the World Cup. But he hasn't won any trophies yet, really, major honours. And this is an opportunity for him to really pitch up and perform in a high-pressure situation at a time where the Springbok lock stocks are not looking good and he needs to really elevate himself to a different level. This is a really nice test for him to be able to do exactly that. We then got the all-star back three of Marcel Coetzee, Ulrich Louw, and Cameron Hanekom, all cap Springboks. Ulrich Louw very much in Rassie Erasmus's plan, but Cameron Hanekom is someone who is trying to force his way in there, and I think had he been fit in the last year, would have had a few more caps. But now the race for the number 8 jersey is firmly on, and Jasper Wiese has it at the moment. Kwagga Smith out for the year provides an opportunity for an Ulrich Louw, a Cameron Hanekom to get themselves in the mix. And it's going to be an all-star back row for Ireland as well. So this is probably going to be one of the big battles this weekend. The loose forward between the two, and the battle of the breakdown will be incredibly important with Joshua Flair lurking around there. So Marcel Coetzee, Cameron Hanekom are going to be very important, especially Cameron Hanekom's ability to jackal. Being able to win those breakdown penalties in finals and playoff matches is huge, especially when you have someone who has the usual reliability of the Andre Pollard boot. Enbro Sapir, well, he's the form scrum off in the country, to call a spade a spade. He would be playing for the Springboks on Saturday, I think, were it not for the URC final. But he needs to now show that this form is not a purple patch, that he really is at a different level, because I think he's coming up against the form scrum half in the world, and that is Jamison Gibson-Park, who makes this Leinster side tick. Mbrosa Pierre, however, is making this Bulls side tick, and I think that those two, that's the duo clash this weekend will be a very interesting one to watch. But Mbrosa Pierre, he puts in another all-time, another man of the match performance that I could very well see him starting a couple of games for the Springboks and very much in the mix come the All Blacks in August and September. Andre Pollard, well, he's got nothing to prove, does he? Because he's won 2 World Cups. He's been there. He's done that. He's, one of the greatest Springbok fly-halves ever. But he had an off day against Glasgow in the semi-final. And the Bulls kind of won despite his kicking rather than because of his kicking. I don't expect to see that again. I don't think, that would be a lightning strike in twice situation. He's always been so reliable in playoff games. He is Mr. Iceman Pollard. So Friday, he needs to bring his kicking boots. He needs to bring that calm presence, and he needs to put them on the front foot. Lots of space out in the wings in Sravina Jacobs and Kirtley Orens, not to mention the hardworking Harold Forster and the Kanan Moody, who needs to start developing a number 13 jersey if he wants to continue there. It is his preferred position. He's had some phenomenal games there for the Boks. He's been good there for the Bulls, but I don't think quite hit the levels we hoped he would in the 13 versus what we've seen him out on the wing. But he likes to play in the 13. He likes to be close to the action. And this is a big opportunity for him to show exactly why. Billy LaRue, wow, look at that try he scored. He still brings so much value. And I think a large part of the Bulls going all the way on Friday comes down to the performance Billy LaRue brings. If Billy LaRue drops one of his best performances, I think the Bulls potentially win it on Friday. I think he can be that important to their efforts. Then off the bench, Marco Verstappen, Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Wilco Louw, all 3 players currently within the Springboks setup. So you're bringing a all Springbok front row out if you're going to bring Marco Verstappen into the mix at hooker. But at the very least, you're bringing Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Wilco Louw, who have been playing international rugby in the last year. You think of Koos Wiese, Jean-Ray Rudolph, Zach Berger, Stedman Gans, and Nizam Carr. Nizam Carr had a bit of a shocker when he came on in the semi-final. He'll be wanting to try and put that game behind him. But Jean-Ray Rudolph's had a phenomenal season. Koos Wiese is trying to get himself, Bok accolades. And Stedman Gans was only on for a few minutes last couple of weeks ago, but turned the game and arguably won them the game with that penalty late in the game. So they've got everything. On paper, it is a class side. It doesn't go toe-to-toe with Leinster on paper? Possibly not, but games aren't played on paper. And at the end of the day, they've fought hard to get there. They are away. It doesn't play into their hands. But you know what? They had a home final last year. It didn't really help them. Maybe this is an opportunity for them to sort of get the monkey off the back overseas. They've beaten Leinster in Ireland before in the URC. They do it again on Friday, they will be URC champions. What do you think of the side? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.
Sure. Everyone shot.
That's your warm up, eh?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. 3 minutes, guys. Thank you, Siva. Thank you. Yep. 13. Back around 10. That breakdown on the first one. Yeah. And then the one with the Can I grab my phone? Make sure it doesn't float. Okay, jump the middle, right? Same concept. Use the wrists.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. Could Jacques Nienaber be leaving Leinster? An explosive press conference that the former Springbok head coach has dropped this week. We're basically spoken about the fact that he doesn't feel valued at Leinster and nor particularly appreciated in Ireland, and basically intimated that the media and the fans have kind of lost faith in him, turned against him, and that could very well lead him to being dismissed or leaving his role within Leinster, because he basically said that the CEO doesn't fire you as a coach, the public and the media do. And he basically sort of said that that's kind of happened to him so far, with all the criticism that has been leveled against him due to the efforts against Bordeaux recently, where Leinster once again fell short of winning the Champions Cup. And I think nothing short of winning another URC this season will probably see potential heads rolling in a club which is expected to challenge and to win the biggest honours. The question is, if he were to leave, where would he go? And before we get into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And please, big announcement, if you're watching this and you are a member of the channel, please go and check the link in the description to go and join our brand new WhatsApp community, where you can go get involved in all the latest conversations, all the latest news. And if you would like to join the WhatsApp community, then become a member, link in the description below, or else there's a direct link to joining the WhatsApp as well, which takes you to a page and that you can basically go on from there. It is part of our membership offering, and it's really, really cool to see, well, be able to show you the plans that we're going to have with the channel, and drop a lot of exclusive content and potentially new things like a new Springbok platform within our WhatsApp community. So make sure you go and get that right now. Right, let's get into this press conference, shall we? And it was a stunning one. There's no other way of putting it. It was a very, very hectic press conference where he did not hold back. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to sort of see what's happened. You know, you can just see this is a frustration from a coach who has won the World Cup ×2 as head coach and as assistant coach, has won the URC with Leinster, but has been under a lot of scrutiny since he sort of went over, and gave an interview last year where he basically said that, you know, maybe he might come back to Springboks one day. And I think since then things have all sort of kind of snowballed a little bit. So in terms of what he had to say, in terms of remaining at Leinster, he basically spoke about the fact that he doesn't get fired by the CEO. That's what I sort of mentioned earlier. And at the moment, the contract expires 2027, and he says he hopes to see it out. But this is some of the quotes itself. He said, "Let me put it to you this way. Who fires you? Do you know who fires you? The public, the media, they fire you." He says, "Not the CEO." He said, "He doesn't fire me, but you guys fire us, fire all coaches, because the pressure builds up, and the fans then build the pressure on them, and then the board, just ask this and say, listen, lads, I think we must part ways." When I say you guys, I'm saying the media. There's a misconception that people get fired by the CEOs. That is because of the pressure put on CEOs by the boards, by people listening. And he even goes on to an example, and he basically said, let's say the board member has dinner with his mates and his friends, and they go, "Sheesh, that Nienaber, you signed a deal with the devil, man." I'm quoting Rodri O'Connor. So you sign a deal with the devil, you need to get rid of that devil. He's killing Irish rugby. That is how you get fired. So he's taken aim at the journalist as well. So he then says, so your question is, listen, am I going to be here? I hope so. Okay, currently I'm not sure, to be honest. And that is amazingly frank for a coach who is out of a contract in a year's time. And he says, I don't think people value me here. They don't value me here. They don't. And I don't think that's necessarily in a woe is me type of thing. I think it's just a case of he's become a bit of a scapegoat for Leinster at the moment and the performances. And you know, he's gone from being absolutely adored, in fact, idolized really by South African fans for the work he's done with the Springboks, to an environment where I think there's quite a lot of hostility towards outsiders, if we're going to be brutally honest. And there's obviously a big Springbok rivalry building between Springbok and Ireland, and I think that him moving over there has very much fueled that. And I think he's kind of been caught in the middle of a big fan base rivalry brewing, Leinster not going and winning a Champions Cup. And I think all the coaches, to be honest, are under a lot of pressure. I think Leo Cullen is under a lot of pressure. But he's borne a lot of the criticism because when you lose, your defense coach always is under fire because it means you conceded more points than you scored, for example. And the fact that they did lose by quite a lot against Bordeaux, sort of also then there's a lot of big whiplash towards it. So in terms of what he then said about the conversation, he says, not for Leo, brackets to value me, people don't value. The moment you lose the team or the fan, you've got to go. The moment you lose the changing room or the club, the fan base, you've got to go. You could just hang there and take your check, but no, they don't want you there. He says, I've been here 3 years, coached 2 finals and a semi-final of Europe, 1 semi-final loss, 2 final losses, URC semi-final and a final, 1-1. And he says, listen, I can only fight through results, can't I? I'm asking, am I that shit? You say you're making a deal with the devil. This risk isn't paying off. Are you supporting me? What an interview. I mean, it's bizarre. It's blockbuster. And somebody mentioned the fact that apparently at the moment Leinster don't have a head of communications or somebody sort of driving the comms and interviews and media. And this kind of probably makes sense, to be honest, because I don't think anyone would have basically signed off on the kind of comments that Jacques has made. But I like it to a certain degree. I love seeing a bit of personality come through and not just the everyday oh yeah, no, it's a bit tough. He's been very frank here. And I don't know if this is an SOS to South Africa to basically say, I'm not happy over here. I've lost the fans. I've lost the change room. I think he's very right, by the way. When you lose the change room, you're gone. You are absolutely gone. I've always said that. Coaches get fired and should leave when they lose the change room. It's why, for example, as a Lions fan, I've always said that despite his struggles, Ivan van Rooyen can still succeed because he hasn't lost the change room. And the players came out last season and said, it's our fault. We need to fight for our coach. So it's been an interesting scenario where the Lions, for example, haven't been contending for a title. It's the first time they've actually had their best season. You know, it's easy to sort of immediately knee-jerk and say it was dreadful because they lost to Leinster. It's a phenomenal Leinster side, but they have had their best season. And what was interesting about the scenario is the fact that the players remained faithful to the coaches. They didn't turn on their coaches. The complete opposite happened at the Bulls. And this is where I'm saying Ivan van Rooyen kept his job despite not making URC playoffs 3 seasons in a row, where Jake White lost his job whilst making a final, because he lost the change room, because he lost the players. So if it's right that the players don't trust Jacques Nienaber anymore and that he has lost the change room, then I think he will need to go. And it'll be the right decision. The question then from a South African point of view is, where does he go? Because he would be welcome at every single union within South Africa. He'd be welcome back to the Springboks. He would have his pick of jobs, really, back in South Africa. And I think if SA Rugby were smart, they would bring him in that sort of Moby coaching unit and make him available to the Lions, make him available to the Bulls, to the Sharks, to anyone really who wants to get him involved in the junior box. Imagine having Jacques Nienaber in a junior box camp, for example, a World Cup winning defense coach working with our juniors, get him involved in SA schools. There's so much value you can add in South African rugby, and they'll have their hand on the pulse here. They'll very much have fingers on all the various different things that are happening, so that if there's an opportunity, they can swoop him and get him back. I have no doubt, should he leave his Leinster contract a year early, we will see him back in South Africa and probably contracted to SA Rugby, unless one of the unions go and say, no, we need to go through all the money. I mean, imagine him at the helm of a Lions, for example. It would be pretty unprecedented, to be honest. And I'd love to see a big move like that. I don't think it'll be the case. I think he'll go back to the Springboks. Obviously, the relationship with Rassie Erasmus is probably going to be too big to kind of ignore. It is a very full coaching staff, though, when it comes to the box. But what do you think of the interview? No hold barred, really. It was, yeah, as I said, explosive, bizarre, strange, and it speaks to a man who's not happy over there, to be brutally honest. And yeah, I think we'll see him back in South Africa sooner rather than later. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.
Thanks indeed. Annemie, go for it.
Thank you, Clinton. Baie geluk, Johan. That was very nerve-wracking probably for you. I presume a question on all our lips is what was said at halftime?
Hello, Annemie. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very grateful and, obviously thank the Lord for you know, spoiling us with this victory, and yeah, just His grace. I think credit to the leaders of the team. Half time, you know, a lot of the senior guys stood up and said, you know, that we can't control the result, but we can control if we're going to go in our shells or do we going to play hard. And my only thing was, guys, we're 21-10 down. I only ask one thing: let's go score the first try. If we score the first try and it's 21-17, then we're in the game. And the boys responded to that. They went out and we scored the first try, and then we saw the belief. But overall, the whole 80 minutes, although there was obviously not a good period in the first half, the boys, I'm proud of the character they showed.
It seemed like one troubling aspect of your game, especially in the first half, was your midfield defense. Is that something that's a bit worrying for you as you head into the final?
We'll review it and we'll look at it. You know, obviously we had 2 yellow cards as well, so it does put a bit of strain on you, and especially when Andre went off, you know, they exploited it quite well at the back. So it's something we'll look at. You must also credit Glasgow. They do run that launches of them very well, but it's definitely something we'll try and fix, Anami.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. Coming here.
Duckers, congratulations on the win. You spoke yesterday about the belief there. I take it that was the same belief that was in the coaching box when you guys were 21-3 down.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously we knew that we're in a fight, and I think we were disappointed in some of our breakdown work, and we were, and the 2, like I just said, the 2 yellow cards didn't help. Glasgow is a quality attack team, and if you've got people, you know, a player short, you'll always struggle a bit. But the belief was there. We felt if we can still score a try. We felt it before halftime. We couldn't. We got penalized at the ruck, and then that was, like I said to Anami now in the message, was if we can score first. I think if they scored and it went to 28, it would have been a massive mountain to climb. But we just felt if we can get a bit of momentum. So I won't lie, it obviously looked daunting when they kept on scoring those 2 tries from a coaching point of view. But the big thing was for us to score first and just get the belief back.
And because I suppose the thing is as well, I mean, this was never going to be a pretty win after that 21-3. You guys had to claw your way back. But maybe a word on some of the leaders in the teams, guys like Krobbies and Cameron, Ruan for Mark. There's some really guys who really put in some big performances there on the field for you guys.
Yeah, if you look at our forwards, had to work extremely hard, especially with again, like I said, with the 2 yellow cards. And we still, that try that we scored to make it 21-10 was important, and it was a grind. We scored, Marshall scored, was disallowed, then we had to grind again. Our scrum was very good tonight, and you know, so the forwards had to work extremely hard. And then second half, I felt our bench, every player that came on made a difference. And again, maybe you know that it's credit to how each player has taken up his role and you know and contributed to that. So yeah, so I think it was overall a team performance. And I said to the players now afterwards, you know, it's credit even to the players who didn't play, preparing the team and giving the energy. So I think it was just a great performance from the boys.
Last one from me, just where does this rank? I know you've had a lot of good wins in your career, but in terms of just overall emotionally, where does this rank for you now?
No, this must be right at the top. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can just, like I said, I'm lost for words. Actually, felt to me like I couldn't believe the whistle went and we won. To be fair, because you know we really showed so much commitment tonight. The players, I'm so proud of the team. You know, I want to thank the Lord. He's really blessing us, and you know, it's a privilege to be part of this team and this occasion. And the comeback is special, Brendan. I won't lie, because they were really playing good rugby, and Franco has got a team now together for 4 years, and they a quality team. And therefore, this is probably one of the best victories I had, just the character that the guys showed.
Thanks, Akas. Okay, enjoy the celebrations tonight.
Thank you.
Jan de Koning.
Thanks, Linton. Veel geluk, Johan. Johan, if we start, obviously you said yesterday 1 point win would be good enough, which you did, but I'm sure Andre Pollard's probably going to pay a few penalties tonight.
Hello, Jan. No, Andre's just said in the team talk now he's going to practice his goal kicking a bit. No, I mean, yeah, we can smile now. We got that 1 point more than them, and that's the thing. But obviously, Andre, one game that he missed won't make him a bad player in that sense. But we're just lucky that it didn't influence the result. In actual fact, one of the coaches made the comment, it kept Glasgow in their half, even the misses. So in that sense, it was you can always look at the positive, but I think at the end of the day, you look at the fight that the guys showed and the tries they scored, and luckily the kicks didn't count at the end.
Yeah, and I know there were 2 yellow cards in the first half, but there did seem some adjustment on defence. You seem to, I know it might have been subtle, but you did change your defensive pattern, which sort of kept the roving, that loop around play of theirs in check.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was for us to stay connected and to have a good tackle fight. And the second guy, slow the ball a bit down, and then we can have time to scan and make decisions. I think we adjusted a little bit on the short side, our defense, where they got a bit of award. But, there wasn't major things. I think just the guys knew that if, again, the mistakes, it was in our control. And if we fix that, we can keep them at bay. And the most important thing was that we, got momentum back on our side. They had a lot of momentum in that first half. We got a little bit back when it went to 10, but the second half we needed to score first, and we did that. And the boys showed with the ball and without the ball a lot of character.
Yeah, last one from me. I know you've been in a few finals, so you got experience of this. What do you do for the next? I know there's a break now, so it's 2 weeks. What do you do in the next 2 weeks? You can't really practice. How do you keep the guys busy and keep them up for the final?
Yeah, we'll see who we play and where we play, and once we know that, I think if we play Leinster, it's a Friday final. If we play the Stormers, it's a Saturday final. That will obviously influence our planning on training days. When we train, do we have to fly? Where do we have to fly to? And so on. And then we'll plan that. We've got two possible scenarios that we're waiting to finalize. How are we going to deal with the next 2 weeks? But once we know the result of the next semi-final, we'll put the plan in place. But in a sense, Jan, I think it's just to freshen up the players. We are going to go back to South Africa. We're not going to stay here and wait. So we're going to go back to South Africa regardless of where we play. And then we're going to give the boys a few days to recover. And then we'll start planning and building for the final.
Baie dankie, Jan.
Dankie.
Hey, Kobus, thank you. Your turn.
Thanks, Linton. Akkers, ja, nogmaals geluk met drukwekkende sege. Wat was jou, julle was voor rustyd, was jy 21-3 agter en toe rustyd was dit 21-10. Wat was jou boodskap aan die spelers in die kleedkamer gewees?
Die coaches het hulle boodskappe gegee wat ons moet na kyk defensively en op attack. En toe het van die senior spelers gepraat oor ons is in hierdie scenario. Ons het 'n besluit om te maak of ons gaan stil bly en almal in hulle dop gaan kruip en of ons vir mekaar meer gaan speel. En ek dink my grootste boodskap was, ons het voor die tyd gesê, ons is hierso om te fight. En al wat ons soek is 1-3. Gee vir ons 1-3 vroeg in die game en vroeg in die tweede helfte en dan vat ons dit van daar af. En hulle het presies gedoen wat hy ou gevra het. So dis genade en ou is dankbaar daarvoor. En ons daai 3 druk, jy weet 21-17, Natuurlik was daai ander 3 belangrik om 'n 10 te maak, want daai 3 het weet dit dan sê in 'n game, jy's 4 punte agter en dan's enige iets moontlik en ons het dit gedoen en toe het ons obviously nog deur die ouens die momentum begin swaai. Soos ek sê, behalwe dat ons voorgekom het ek net gevoel het elke ou wat opgekom het ook 'n verskil gemaak van die bank af op die regte tyd, so ons is dankbaar daarvoor.
Ek is net nou uiteraard julle sal vanaand wil fokus op dit wat julle vandag wil of wat julle vandag bereik het. Maar wat beteken dit vir die span? Julle gaan ongeag wat die uitslag is in die ander halfeindstryd gaan julle gaan wegspeel. Wat beteken dit vir julle selfvertroue dat julle span soos die Warriors weg van die huis af kon gewen het in die opbou tot daai eindstryd?
Ja, ek glo ons het baie vertroue uit dit vat, Kobus. Natuurlik het ons nog niks bereik nie. Jy weet, as jy almal sal onthou maar net die spanne wat gewen het, so ou kan nie weg in vervoering raak en weg hardloop en dit nie ons maar jy ten minste gee jouself 'n kans en ek dink die les wat ons vanaand geleer het is baie keer gaan dinge sleg gaan as jy kalm bly en jouself na jouself kyk en vir mekaar ondersteun, dan kan jy dit draai, jy weet. En ek dink dit sal ons baie hopelik help. Want ou weet nooit hoe die momentum gaan wees in so 'n finaal nie en ons het gewys oor die 80 minute kan soveel goed gebeur. So ja, verseker sal die ouens baie vertroue uit dit vat.
Dankie Akkers, geniet vanaand.
Dankie julle.
Because when you play altitude, like it's a different challenge altogether because the conditions are different from what most other teams would be used to. And obviously the style of game that they play there, where they try to get down to set piece, but they also want to try and play fast as well, and they have multiple threats because they can go through you, but they've also, when they do go through you, that tries to compress the defence, and then they've got the speed to go around you as well. So, and yeah, listen, obviously we've been up against like the Vodacom Bulls for the last few seasons on different occasions, during the regular season games, but semi-finals and a final as well. And Jake is a very, very astute coach since Johan has come in. There is some changes in the way they play the game for sure, but it's still based on some pretty solid fundamentals that they have in their game as well. So, and that was the big thing is with the South African teams coming into our domestic competition, which is forming the URC that we have today. And I think it's an amazing competition, and it's unbelievably privilege to be here at this stage of competition at a final. If you'd asked me when we were sitting here last, do you remember when that was? After round 4, when we lost 3 of our first 4 games, would we be in the situation we're playing in a final in Croke Park? I think everyone was very crazy at that point because we'd already lost more games in the regular season than we had during the entire regular season last season. So, and we were, as I said, 4 rounds in. And we had 20 odd players heading off to international camp, so they weren't going to be playing in the next couple of games. So it's been an amazing squad effort, I think, to get to this stage. And listen, it's great to still be playing rugby this time of year.
Last year, you would have thought he'd be starting out against potentially the best club in the world in a URC final.
Well, that's it. Like, even if you think back to after round 4. Our very next game was round 5, and Jerry's playing against Zebra. So, but to see his progression through the season has been amazing, and it's a great sort of story of persistence, perseverance, isn't it? Like, because he was in the system, and even though he's sort of not falling out of the system, because listen, he's back playing with club, battling out AL with a few different teams, Belgium, Trinity, and Lansdowne. So he's moving around to try and progress himself all the time. So to see him progress with us during the course of the season, he's had some huge moments for us, some huge games. But if you think about it, as I said, like the last time we were here, like it only just brings me back to round 5 Zebra, where we had 6 debutants that day in round 5, which is a bizarre number, isn't it? Mid-season in a round 5 game to have 6 debutants, and Jerry and Alex Uslanov was probably the other one as well that day. But to see the rise of both those guys over the course of the season is it's a testament to those.
Right, hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports. It is the last dance of the URC season. Bulls versus Leinster. It all comes down to 80 minutes between the four lines, as they say. The Bulls, is it fourth time is the charm? They've been there, they've done that, and they've watched so many people lift the URC trophy in front of their fans, in front of them, their squad, in front of the coaches. The question is, can they get their hands on what's been a bit of a poison challenge up against a Leinster side who were very heavily critiqued for not getting the victory against in the EPCR Champions Cup. So both teams that need to deliver, but there can only be one winner, and 80 minutes time will be able to crown another URC champion. I'll tell you what, it's two powerhouse squads, really, really good, and plenty of international players on display this evening. Before we get to the sides, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Let's settle into the stream and let me know what your score predictions are in the comments below. Let me know who you're supporting as well, and go and vote on who you think is going to win. Over almost 350 votes so far. Let's get hitting that like button, people. Lots of really cool action coming up. And in terms of the Bulls squad, let's go through it, shall we? In the front row, Gerard Stenekamp behind Watchalong, and very interesting, Francois Kloppe starts in the number 3 jersey, being backed after some really strong performances in the last few weeks. An unchanged 23 has Johan Ackerman. Ruan Vermaak, Ruan Nokia in the second row. Ruan Nokia, this is his swan song for the Bulls, his final game before he does depart for overseas. So a big opportunity for him to leave on a high. A player who's captained this side, has been one of their strongest players over the last few years. Can he help them get over the line? It is a powerhouse all Springbok capped back row of Marcel Coetzee, Ulrich Lowe, and Cameron Harnicle. Marcel Coetzee these days not really finding space in that Springbok squad, but we all know the quality he does bring, and as the captain tonight, he will be very, very important with regards to how he handles Andrew Piatti, the ref, how he handles the players, and how they try and put him together an 80-minute performance, because the Stormers pushed Leinster for that full 80, and I think the Bulls can very much compete. They need to make sure they start well, and having the experience in Marcel Coetzee is always really important with regards to that. The former player, arguably of the URC this season, Ambrose Sapir, next to Andre Pollard, who's got so much experience in playoff stages. This is exactly where you want to Andre Pollard. He didn't have a particularly strong semi-final, though, so he'll definitely want to try and set the record straight and guide the Bulls to a maiden URC title. The pieces are Shavina Jacobs and Kirkley Arnson, Villaroo with all that experience at fullback, Health Forster, Kane Moody in the centres. Then a very, very impressive impact squad for the Bulls in the form of Marco Benstad, Jan Hendrik Wessels, Wilco Lowe, Kobus Visa, Jean-Louis Rudolph, Zach Berger, Stedman Gans, and Nizam Carr in a 6-2 split. For Leinster, while it's an Irish stacked side, Jerry Cahill gets an opportunity, and he'll be under a lot of pressure early on from Francois Kloppe, who's been in good form. You then got Ronan Kelleher and Tyke Furlong back in the mix. Lots of injury issues, not quite in the form he has, but we all know the class he does bring. Joe McCarthy, James Ryan in the second row, back row, Max Deegan, Josh Van der Fleer, Caden Doris. We are underway, by the way. Sam Prendergast going down the right-hand side, getting it through to Ulrich Lowe. Early start and an early touch, and an early nice touch that from Ulrich Lowe, and that's exactly what you kind of want early on, to be able to sort of just start settling into things. And early up and under coming from Ambrose Sapir, and it bubbles up and one back by the Bulls, was everyone from Mark getting up there. So it's a nice start from the Bulls. You need to make sure they get the kicking game right if they're going to contend with Leinster. Kicking game and set pieces, I think that's where this game can potentially be won and lost for the Bulls. And Ambrose Sapir already shaping to go for that second box kick. And if it goes this time, going for a bit further. So we're no contest in the air, while taken this by Hugo Keenan. Hugo Keenan, one of the several Irish international players in that backline. In fact, the only non-international Irish player in the backline is Rico Ioane. He's obviously an All Black. Not a bad backline to have. And that man over there, Gibson Park, very important. Sam Prendergast, bit of space out wide. James Lowe deciding not to use the players out wide. Prendergast now, Rico Ioane. Good tackle that coming from Johan Krobler. Kane Moody's got himself on his hands on the ball there. But no success from him. Max Deegan, in fact, it's the captain, Caelan Doris, getting his first carry of the day. Eventually brought down by Gerard Stenekamp. Leinster looking very much to keep ball in hand here. Sam Prendergast, oh, what a half. It hasn't been knocked down. Are we going to see an early yellow card here from Kane Moody? We might, you know. Might have to have a look at just Kane Moody's come through and knocked the ball down. Was he going for the interception, or was it a deliberate knockdown? Is this going to be a yellow card? This is the question. They are going to go for a check here, so this could be the worst possible start. The big thing that Jan Ackerman spoke about, and anyone who's watched Leinster will know, that you've got to make sure you start well against them, because that's how Leinster finish off teams. They go bang, bang early on, and after that, you're chasing a game. and the Bulls need to make sure that they don't allow it to happen. And a potentially yellow card, well, this could be a pretty decisive in that kind of start. So the question is, does he? Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, it doesn't help that he pulls his hand back as he kind of goes for it. So I think he is reaching to his pocket chairs, Andrew Piatti. Yeah, he has indeed received a yellow card. So that's the worst possible start from the Bulls. Lots of early pressure coming from Leinster. And the Bulls will be down to 14 for the first 10 minutes as Canan Moody will spend 10 minutes in the sin bin. And I expect to see Leinster not really go for poles much, to be honest. I think they'll go towards the corner and play really, really positive rugby as much as they can. Leo Cullen has been a lot of pressure in the last few years for not under-delivering. They won the URC last year, finally got that duck off the back, but they haven't been able to perform consistently in the Champions Cup, which is kind of the big one that they really want. So this is a big opportunity for Leinster to go back-to-back URC champions, but I also think this is probably the best opportunity that the Bulls are going to have in a while to get their maiden URC title, because it's a good side. And I think it's a Leinster side that can be beaten. Well, obviously, we know they can be beaten. They didn't win the Champions Cup, but they are inside the 22, and Renekele goes short. Not a massive crowd at Croke Park. James Lowe bringing in O'Brien. Almost on the ball. There's Clara Stenekamp. Quick ball here from Gibson Park. Goes behind Ukele. Prendergast, good hands here. Starts to straighten as Max Deegan. Just short here. Leinster on the doorstep. Back left. There you go. Can't concede early here. The Bulls got to make sure that the defense remains good. Rico Wani gets still thrown away. Joe McCart, that's really good there by Brent Bose-Papier. He's, tell you what, you could try saving tackle. There's a bit of space. Putting that pressure on Joe McCarthy. Now, slow ball, really slow ball here from Gibson Park. Keeping it within the forwards here. Leinster Bulls, deficit of defense here. Make sure they don't concede early on. Now showing go from himself. Gibson Park caught on the ball, though. Man of the match in the semi-final, Gibson Park. No, nice big tackle there coming on Renekele here. This is good defense so far here from the Bulls. Now on the left-hand side there, first carry for Tyke Furlong. Back in the mix after lots of injuries. Back to the right-hand side. So far, good defenses here from the Bulls. But plenty of pressure. Show and go from Kelleher. Cameron Hanekom now gets on the ball. And wins it. Well, I'll tell you what. He's a man who's trying to get himself onto Rusty Erasmus's radar. And an early penalty like that is exactly the way to do it. Well, that's a really good phase of play that for the Bulls to be able to defend about 15 phases odd, get the turnover. They run the clock down in the yellow card as well. Look at the celebrations coming there from the coaching staff. And Cameron Hanekom, well, this the year of Cameron Hanekom. Every single time he sort of comes into form, he looks like he's going to be breaking down that Springbok door, gets an injury and misses out. But this could very well be the year where he potentially might get an extended run. With the box, at least in the box squad, and try and get himself a couple of caps. Jacques, you know about Watchalong? And Kalen Doris started receiving a bit of treatment. Doesn't look particularly happy either. Been an early blow here for Leinster, but I'll tell you what a bench they've got. Dan Sheehan, Alex Usanov, Thomas Clarkson, Damon Mangan, Jack Cohen, Luke McGrath, Harry Byrne, and Gary Ringrose. And but yeah, he's got a boot off, and Piatti saying that we need to get going here to Kalen Doris, which I agree with. Looks like he's going to be able to continue. But he's not overly happy yet, I don't think, as the Irish captain as well as the Leinster captain. He's going to limp off and just try and fix his boot here. Bit of a weird one there. You kind of see his foot get stuck in slightly, but no obvious injury there coming to for him. But he's back on his feet and tying his boots. Bulls up towards the 10-meter line. Jan Krobelog getting ready to throw it in. I'll tell you what, that's a position I think is up for grabs. Is that kind of the reserve Springbok hooker. So a strong showing here from Jan Krobelog could put him in very good stead for the rest of the season. Rolling for the rolling more here, the Bulls. Not started particularly well. Starting to get a little bit of momentum, but right up against the touchline. Bose-Papier's already got hands on the ball, looking at where they can go. But Jan Krobelog decides to break himself. He's got the support of Harold Forster and Kurt Lawrence presents well as well from Bose-Papier. Just going to slow things down. Go short here to ruin for Mark. Kalen Doris, by the way, back into the Irish lineup. He was just behind that Bulls line. Now he goes to the boot shed as Ambrose Papier. Now no Curtin Moody to chase. So Curtly Lawrence is floating around. And he knocked backwards from Leinster. And Hugh Keenan loses it forward. Knock on advantage for the Bulls. And it comes back to the Bulls. Ambrose Papier throws it out wide. Now with space. Harold Forster decides to go himself. Really good work there from Harold Forster. Makes a yard or two. He had a strong semi-final. Ambrose Papier sees half a gap. Decides to try to go for it. Close down. But he makes a yard or two. Quick ball here for Jan Krobelaar. Pollard locks it behind and advantage here. A bit of a breakaway from Leinster. It's going to go all the way. Oh, what a disaster for the Bulls. Just as they were looking really good. A turnover ball and they're going to go in to the corner. Tommy O'Brien is in. And how frustrating is that as a Bulls fan? A really strong line out. Really strong passage of defense as well. Your first real attack. Ball comes loose. I think it's Andre Pollard who can't quite take it cleanly. And Tommy O'Brien thanks him for an early Christmas. Yeah, straight through the hands of Andre Pollard. That's a bit of a shocker, to be honest. And just like that, under the poles he goes. 2 points to come. 7-0. Oh, no. The more you watch, the worse it gets. An absolute horror start for the Bulls now. Yellow card. They managed to initially defend that set piece of play. And then you do that. Not good enough, to be perfectly honest. You don't win finals with those sort of margins. And I'm sinking in my chair over here with everything going on. Sam Prendergast, well, he wouldn't have wanted an easy kick than that. Right in front of the poles. He'll add 2 points to his final tally. And 7-0 with still 14 men on the park for another 5 minutes. Not the start that Jan Ackerman was speaking about. And not the start that Leinster would have wanted, though, because Jack Conan is on, because Caden Doris is off. So obviously that foot injury is a bit more serious than initially thought. Pretty big field over here at Croke Park. The clearance doesn't quite go right. Billy LaRue, what can he conjure up? Was part of a really important try against Glasgow Warriors. The assist king, as he's known. Second to only Bowden Barrett for the number of assists, I think, in the last decade of international rugby. We were not here with a solid carry. Can the Bulls reply nice and quickly? Mercer Pierce is going to shape up to go to the butcher. Pushing a couple out of the way is Shavino Jacobs. And penalty is the call from the referee, saying that it was indeed obstruction. So big opportunity now for the Bulls to reply. The question is, do they go for to take the three? Do they go for the corner? And they're going to go for the corner. I like this. I like a bit of confidence here. I've always said, when you play against the Leicester, and this is what I kind of said about the Stormers, you're going to need to score 20-odd points. I don't think you beat Leinster with 3 points. You know, you can, but you got to try and make sure there's a try or two in the mix. Get a couple of tries and then build a bit of an innings. I think that's how you kind of beat Leinster. There has to be an attritional aspect to the game. Where said, so the ref got that advantage this when Leinster scored that try. Well, it was a knock-on advantage and they already had a phase. So that's why it would have been over. I think it's pretty fair, actually. The worst thing they actually did was getting that ball back because Joe McCarthy had his hands on the ball and if that had remained, they would have gotten the scrum. But it wasn't a penalty advantage. It was just a knock-on advantage. So one phase later, that advantage is done. But the Bulls, good set piece now. They're 10 meters out. Gerard Stennekamp, one of Don Human's favorite players. Pick up and go now from Marcel Coetzee. Looking to lead from the front as the Bulls captain. Pollard now goes himself, looking to make amends for that mistake. Run from Mark. Quickly on the ball there. There's Tommy O'Brien. And both appear a bit of pressure. Goes back to Johan Krobelaar. No real go-for-it ball here from the Bulls. They need to find a ball carrier to get them over the advantage line. No, they're not going to have that opportunity, though, because Tommy O'Brien, of all people, is going to win a turnover. You see now again, we can't be letting the wing win a breakdown penalty. That is a cardinal sin. If you are a member of that loose trio. What a start he's had, Tommy O'Brien. I think his first touch of the ball was the breakaway try. Makes a tackle, gets his hands on the ball, wins a penalty. He must be sitting there thinking the final rugby is pretty easy. Yeah, you got to clean up better than that. You really do. Yeah, that's Kevin Doris done. He's on the side watching on. There we go. Worry for Andy Farrell for the Nations Championship games to come for Ireland. Now, good little ball there for Josh van der Fleer in the midfield. Quick ball from Dempsey Gibson Park. Flings it out to Rico Wani. Good tackle there from Ulrich Lowe. Helped him out Harold Forster. He's had a solid season for the Bulls, Harold Forster. Now back to Josh van der Fleer. Just over a minute left on that yellow card. So the Bulls can get back to a full contingent. Good hands, though. Jimmy O'Brien almost back to half break in the number 12 jersey. Now space out wide. Here's the gap left by Moody. Ball back inside and Max Deegan. Well, slipping Ronan O'Keefe already manages to make the tackle. And spilled straight forward by Ronan Kelly here. That's really poor. Well, this is the moment the Bulls would have liked to have that sooner rather than later, and that's the first scrum. And I'm interested to see how Francois Kloppe goes here, because a lot of people say it's a big risk not to start a Wilco Low in the final, which I suppose to a certain degree it is. I mean, we're talking about one of the best tight ends, if not the best, certainly the best scrummaging tight end, I think, in the world at the moment. But I'll tell you what, Francois Kloppe was backed a few weeks ago when Wilco Low was ill and couldn't play. He did a phenomenal job, and he's had the backing of the coach since then. And I love something like that. I love coaches who are brave enough to go and say, yeah, you know what, he did a job for us. Let's stick with him. We know what Wilco does in the second half. We know what he's going to bring. But Francois Kloppe can do a job. But they get an early scrum penalty here, start setting the tone. It'll go a long way towards them getting a bit of dominance into this game. So what are your thoughts, people? What are the chats here? Do we think the Bulls can do a job here? Is this going to be a bit of a one-way contest? A lot of the polls, for example, I've seen have got pretty much sort of 70-odd% for Leinster. So not a complete one-way, but you know, when it comes to a final, to have up to 70% people backing you is quite a lot. 35,000, by the way, expected in attendance at Croke Park. Not the biggest attendance we're going to see in a URC Grand Final, but disappointing, to be honest. Would have liked to have seen them close to that 50,000 mark, which you probably would have had at the likes of a Loftus. It is a Friday evening game, though. Not very conducive to big crowds compared to a Saturday prime time, sort of 5 o'clock kickoff. But conditions, you couldn't have asked for better. Nice and sunny. Looks nice and dry. Good rugby for some high tempo rugby, which Leinster will try and do. Bulls very much the opposite. They'll try and slow things down and go from set piece to set piece. They've got a bit of flair. Jan Ackerman spoke about the fact that they are changing the way they play. They are trying to bring a few more sort of facets into the game as well. But off the back of a solid kicking game and good set pieces. A bit like the Boks, really. You know, the Boks are playing much more expansively, but you've still got the set piece, you've still got the kicking game, which is the core of your game, and then you kind of play on the back of that dominance that you get. Right now, it looks like you might be able to get a bit of a shove. Ball goes down, ball available. No advantage, anything like that. Bruce Pierre goes to Harold Forster. Harold Forster will have his first carry off the back of a scrum, and definitely not his last. He'll carry a lot in that position. To the left-hand side, now go the Bulls, setting up a better ruck for Bruce Pierre. Now a couple of blockers arriving. He'll go to the boost. Shafini will be the chaser here. Marcel is floating around there. Ball comes back, but into the hands of Ronan Keller here. Makes the tackle. Does Ambrose appear? Long pass out from O'Brien. Not much happening there. So Prendergast just dabs it through to Pollard. He sees a bit of space in behind. On the bounce to Keenan. Keenan to the left-hand side. James Lowe with that big left boot. Playing his last game for Leinster. Bit of a whole strange situation. That's a really good kick from him, though. He'll find touch just shy of the 22, push the Bulls back into their own half, but they'll be back to a full contingent with the Bulls, and that's the main thing. So let's get that yellow card down. Canan Moody back onto the park. And rule number 1 now for the Bulls for the rest of the game is keep 15 on the park. We're look here calling the lineouts. Johanna Krobelop with ball in hand. 4-man lineup for the Bulls. And it goes to Ulrich Lowe. Pops it to Ambrosia Pierre. And now Moscow carries well as well. Couple of blockers already, and Ambrosia Pierre shapes for the kick. I think he'll look for distance here, Ambrosia Pierre. Now it's fairly contestable. Shavina Yakas will get there. Johan Kobbelaar lurking. It actually nutmegs Johan Kobbelaar and will go out. I think this will be a Leinster line out. Taking it quickly though as Gibson Park to Prendergast. Ball back inside with a space for Hugo Keenan. Make a half hit and nobody can really get the Hugo Keenan's broken straight through. Kurt Lawrence is going to the left hand side to see if he can get to Rico Awani. Rico Awani steps inside. Rico Awani is over. And Leinster go 2 for 2. And that's Gibson Park with some brilliance. To take it quickly in a final, I mean, it's a ballsy move to make. You don't see it particularly often as well in that kind of circumstance. But he saw the space. It's a brilliant run there from Hugo Keenan. And then Rico Awani's got the pace back out on the wing, really, which is where he's played, I think, some of his best rugby. But it's a huge pass aside from Gibson Park. Inside ball from Prendergast to Keenan. And Moody slips, which then gets in the way of Marcel Coetzee may be able to make the tackle. Bit of a comedy of errors in the end. Steps inside of Kurt Lawrence's. And eventually, when Harold Forster gets across to make the tackle, it's a bit too late. And Leinster have 2. And the bench right there to welcome him in. Playing his last game for Leinster after his sabbatical, Rico Awani. And he misses the kick to Prendergast. It'll remain at 12-0. Yeah, I mean, Canan Moody's sole involvement so far in the game has been to knock the ball and get a yellow card and then trip in front of Marcel Coetzee and prevent him from getting across. Not been the start of dreams, this, from Canan Moody. He needs to try and find himself some positive contributions. Solid restart that from Leinster. Gibson Park will find touch. And you feel that the next blow, the next punch landed needs to come from the Bulls, really. 2 tries down already. That becomes 3 tries. Then this becomes a very, very long way back. Ambrosia Pierre under a bit of pressure at the back of the line out. Josh van der Fleer now. Now back to Prendergast. Prendergast looking for the wraparound here. It does wrap around. Pops it up to Keenan. Keenan with a bit of space. Holds it onto then pops it up to James Lowe. James Lowe inside 22 gets away from one. Cameron Honeycomb there to make the tackle. And it comes inside, but eventually I think the ball has gone out. Where's our touch judge? They have eventually managed to battle him out. I'll tell you what, that wraparound is looking far too dangerous for Leinster. Bulls not reading it particularly well at the moment. And that's still early on, yeah. I think that's from Joe McCarthy. Not looking after the ball. Defensively not been good enough. Leinster is at the moment well on top. And the Bulls haven't arrived. To be brutally honest, they haven't arrived as of yet. They got to find something. They got to find a positive play. And this is where you need your senior players step up. You know, your Pollards, I'm going to call Canan Moody. Canan Moody is a senior player, but Kirkley Lawrence, Billy LaRue in the back line. But your forwards are going to start getting you some front foot ball here. You need a Marcel Coetzee to stand up here. Ruan Nokia. Somebody needs to stand up and bit of a sketchy line up that and get you some go forward ball. Make a big positive contribution. Just to get everybody else up around you. And Ambrosia Pierre looking for touch. It's a good kick and he's turned James Lowe. He eventually brings it in. Back towards Hugh Keenan. He's at a solid start. He needs to find meters whenever he does run. This time runs to a bit of tackle. Once again, it's only a half tackle. And he's still going. Bulls guilty of not completing their tackles, and all of a sudden, back on the front foot, Leinster. James Ryan, Johan Kobbelaar fighting the ball. Turn it around. First man, says the referee, so no issue there. Good offload that from Ambrosia Pierre. Now hands for the Bulls. Hands from the Bulls. Really good hands for the Bulls. Canan Moody to the left-hand side. Stravina Jacobs puts it to the boot. And there's nobody back. Prendergast is getting there. But I tell you what, it's a foot race with Jacobs and Moody. And he's managed to get there. I'll tell you what, Prendergast decided to go to the ground. He's made the right decision. That's actually phenomenal work. He was brave enough to put himself in danger, Sam Prendergast. It was him and the two Bulls players. You've got to think that Shrina Jacobs was getting immediately to dive for the ball. Prendergast decided to do exactly that. And he came up with it. And what was looking like a runaway try, but in the making, he saved it. Well, Prendergast, he's been criticised a lot for his defensive work, but he's just saved an almost certain try. Looking at that breakdown steal once again from Jan Krobler, so quick on the ball. And you got to think that one of them, you got to just dive for it, dive for it. He was trying to go for the kick here, was Shavina Jacobs. But with his two players, you got to think if he dives on it, one pop up to Moody and you're away. Instead, Prendergast takes the risk. He puts himself in danger of being kicked in the face by Shavina Jacobs, and his bravery has paid dividends. What a moment that would have been for the Bulls. Exactly what they would have needed. Just something to boost them, just to lift them a little bit. Because it's not been the start that they would have wanted. They would have spoken all week about starting well and getting themselves up for the occasion. But so far, too many missed tackles, too many mistakes being made. Yeah, you got to think Shavina Jacobs got to go to the floor here. He dives on that ball. I think he gets there ahead of Sam Prendergast. He can pop it up to Canan Moody, and it's a certain try. So the Bulls on the 10-meter line, still inside Leinster territory. Messy line, and it's gone back towards Leinster's way. The Lions haven't looked very convincing so far. They lost that one. Now Prendergast goes to the torpedo. Down the throat of Shavina Jacobs. What can he conjure up? Yeah. Rocket Man, as he's known. Up towards the halfway line. Now Ruan Nokia presents well for Ambrose Sapir. Back in the pocket is Pollard, not the best kick, and he goes to the boot on the right-hand side. Curtly Aronson and Canan Moody there. He comes with the head of James Lowe, I think, so it will be a Bulls line out. Both him and Curtly Aronson getting that pretty wrong. Maybe watching a bit too much of the FIFA World Cup there, James Lowe. But it's a really good win that from Max Deegan. He gets his hand in between Ruan Nokia and the ball and for that line-out steal. Underrated player, Max Deegan. Now, we go to the back of the line, but I think there's a Leinster touch once again. Knocked backwards is the call from the referee, so it was. It's a turnover ball. That's 2 lineouts lost in a row from the Bulls. Now short, but it's space never kept Jack Conan. Reeled in by Harold Forster. And the offload, well, Cameron Honicle knocked it back, and then Gibson Parker's hacked it forward. Billy Rue's going to get back. Has he carried that over, though? He has indeed. It's going to be a 5-meter scrum. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, Villaroo's not happy. He says that he didn't carry it back. They'll have a check. TMO will have a look. That's what Andrew Piatti's saying that TMO will double check. But they're seeing it as carried over. I think he just mistimes it. But this is a really, really poor line-out. They try to go to the back, and he just gets a hand on it, does James Ryan. And then the break from Jack Conan. His offload is not tapped back by Cameron Harnicum. Can't take it. Gibson Park, as he's always there. And then Villaroo, where does he take this? Yeah, it is. His first step is just before the try line, unfortunately. So a 5-meter scrum for the Bulls. If there's ever a time to lay down the marker and get your first scrum penalty of the game, this would be it. But so far, scrums haven't really been that one-sided. We've only had the one really, and it kind of went down and we were just told to use it. Well, it's a much better scrum up from the Bulls, but they do use it to Leinster. Tommy O'Brien. The try score off the shoulder. Gibson Park goes to the right-hand side. Jerry Kerr, just short on the doorstep here, Leinster. Gibson Park part of the ruck, so Tyke Furlong will come in as one of the larger scrum halves around. Pick up and go on Tyke Furlong. Jack Conan pick up and go. Jack Conan! Door shut on him. Ball available for Joe McCarthy. He has a go, but he leaves the ball behind. Josh van der Veer now pops it up to, and there's a penalty advantage for the Leinster rather. Just short. Good defense there. Back to Tyke Furlong. Desperate now for the Bulls. McCarthy pops it up. You got to kill it here. The door's open, but Cameron Harnicombe, I think, has held him up. He has indeed. Was there a penalty advantage? Thought I saw Andrew Piatti signaling for it. No, it wasn't. So that's a phenomenal. I mean, that's Cameron Harnicombe with a steal penalty when they were on the front foot here. First stops it there. And then it comes back towards Cameron Harnicombe and he holds him up. Well, that's 2 try-saving interventions from the number 8. And that's why I said I think this is his year. Such a talented player as Cameron Harnicombe. Got so much to give the box. If he can stay fit and get a bit of a run. I think he was in the World Cup fast track at one stage. But maybe too many injuries, not enough caps into him so far. But 84% of people reckon that the Bulls are going to win the match. Not looking as likely at the moment, but by far it means not out of it. You know, we're 24 odd minutes, 12 points behind, 1 try, and you can be within 5 points. Right, the young prop is good to continue, so the Bulls will restart with a 22-minute dropout. But 25 ball is Jerry Cahill. No Andrew Porter in the line today. Deep restart that from Pollard. Prendergast goes up. Now this is 1 into the 22, so this can be marked if they can take it cleanly, but they get the communication completely wrong. Hunter Pollard just looking at Kane and Moody. And Leinster now won the ball back inside the 22. Back to Jerry Cahill. Complete miscommunication there between Moody and Pollard. Pick up and go from Joe McCarthy. And penalty advantage out for Leinster. So at the very least, this might be 3 points. And why wouldn't take the 3 points? 15-0 up. Max Deegan on the ball. Gives it park to the right hand side. Jimmy O'Brien. Prendergast. Oh, there's space. There's space. He comes in for the interception. It falls back to Tommy O'Brien. Still penalty advantage for... I think they'll avoid the yellow card for that one. Genuinely go for the interception this time. Another advantage from the Bulls. I'll tell you what, the amount of errors that they make, the amount of penalties advantage they're conceding, they might still see a yellow card at this rate. Ball available for Gibson Park. Free roll of the dice, really. Prendergast caught on the ball by Cameron Harnicombe. Slightly manhandled there, to be honest. And they'll go back for the penalty. And we're going to have a look at this interception here. I think you'll be all right with this one. I think Kane and Moody, you couldn't really argue for it not being a little bit knocked down, but I think this one he's genuinely going for the interception. So we're going to have a look here, but I think he'll be okay. Based on where this lands up, I mean, it still gets to Tommy O'Brien. I think it's Billy Leroux that comes flying up for it. Initially, it looked like he was genuinely going for... I mean, it comes off his arm. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they say about this. This is a different angle. I think it's going to be another yellow, you know. I mean, he sticks his arm. Yeah, it is another yellow card for deliberate knockdown. I mean, 2 in 20 minutes here from the Bulls. And how frustrating for Jan Ackerman to have had the kind of run they've had, and then you get to the final, and so far, this is the first type performance that they've pulled out. 2 yellow cards. 2 silly tries conceded, if you're going to be brutally honest. 2 lost lineouts so far. Yeah, Ackerman does not look best pleased, and so he should look pretty peeved with life at the moment. He's got Schalk Brits sitting behind him. Brought the trophy on for the Bulls. Full line out here for Leinster. Looking to now off the back to Gibson Park. Jimmy O'Brien spinning in the tackle. Half tackle completed by Andre Pollard. Just short here. Pick up and go from Gibson, Josh van der Fleer. Cameron Hanekom on the ball there, looking to try and rip it. Releases the call. McCarthy, pick up and go. At the moment, you just want to get 15 Cameron Hanekoms onto the side of the way he's playing. It's about the only Bulls player who's rocked up so far. It's another good tackle from earlier. Pick up and go around the corner with Jack Conan. Jack Conan, that's another go! And he has scored. Try number 3. From bad to worse from the Bulls. And it's just, they're just not at the races. The silly mistakes. I mean, this all stems from a Sam Prendergast up and under where Kane Moody and Andre Pollard just washed each other and James Lowe took it with no contest whatsoever. And even there, you're not completing the tackle there. Comes around the side. 3 players, by the way. 3 players go for him. They all go over him, and he then basically just places the ball. And no mistake that from Sam Prendergast. 19 points to 0. Bulls down to 14. And at the moment, not shaping up to be the great, close URC final we hoped it was going to be. Well, Milton, you can talk about a rubbish ref all you want, but the ref hasn't lost the 2 lineouts. Watch James Lowe take the ball, knock balls on, watch balls go through their hands, and miss the tackles. And I don't think you can really argue either of the yellows either, to be honest. "13 minutes to go in the first half. Curtly Arnsell will give chase. Ball popped out towards Jack Conan, the try scorer. And this game already starting to get away from the Bulls unless they can find something before half-time. Looking around from DPR Leinster and already a bit of space, and Sam Prendergast is gliding ahead. Puts the kick in as well. This could very well be a 50-22. It is going to be a 50-22. And this is the problem. When Sam Prendergast gets up and gets a bit of confidence, he's a very, very good player. You put him on the back foot, then he struggles. But at the moment, he's not being put under any of the pressure. And all of a sudden, we're starting to see the Sam Prendergast that Irish fans keep hoping that they'll see. This is brilliant from him. It's the wraparound. First receiver, Jimmy O'Brien. Back to Sam Prendergast. Sam Prendergast, where are the backline players, you've got to wonder. Puts in the kick in behind. And the defensive system from the Bulls is non-existent at the moment. On a point of order, I think the Lions were doing a better job. I'm just saying. So, lucky number 5 maybe for the Bulls eventually. James Lowe now. O'Brien, well read this time from Andre Pollard. And knock on is the call from the referee. Yeah, I think Johan Ackerman right now will want, if they can get a try before half time, maybe a 3-pointer, get themselves within 10 points and then unload that bench. And he's got to hope that something happens. I would be very tempted to put Volko Low on early and try and start getting these scrum penalties. I actually think it's locked on by Johan Krobler. Who's got the ball? Yeah, I don't think Ambrose Pierce got the ball. I think Gibson Park might have the ball. There's actually might be a Leinster scrum after all that. I think it was a knocked first by Bulls. In which case, all of a sudden, it's an attacking scrum here for Leinster. No, Ambrose Pierce does it the ball. So it is a Bull scrum. 5 minutes left on the clock here for Billy LaRue. And free kick for Leinster. That's not what they wanted to see. Pushing before the ball is in is the call. Gibson Park takes it. Now gives and all flows to James Lowe. The 2 New Zealand-born players linking up here. O'Brien. The ball comes loose. But penalty is the call. Not releasing. And why wouldn't Leinster? Yeah, I think that's what they said. They said they'll take the 3, 22-0. Thank you very much. Cameron Honeycomb this time not getting it right. And this game is very quickly running away from the Bulls, with Sam Prendergast set to add an extra 3 points here. I said that you need to score at least 20 or 30 points if you want to beat Leinster. Yeah, it clearly gets to the ground, no release, and then they rip the ball in the tackles as Moskowitz and Cameron Honeycomb. So it's discipline at this rate, or lack thereof. No discipline from the Bulls. And it's really starting to cost them. And no problem there. 22 points to 0 after 31 minutes. This is becoming a bit of a disaster class from the Bulls. Gerard Stennekam's having a conversation with PRD about the scrum. You got to think that's one of the few ways they might be able to get back into this game. When a Volker Low comes back on, some scrum penalties, but they're going to need something. Intercept try, something before half-time. Something to take into the shed, something to take into the dugout, as they say. Go down the middle of the park, bit of a change in tactics there. And Prendergast finds a decent clearance up towards the halfway line. And Bulls will have to start from deep. So Bulls fans, how are we feeling? I can't imagine very good at the moment. Let's see if they can win a line out. Well, it's a messy one, but Ambrose appear, but knock on, not straight is the call now. Dear, dear, dear. I mean, nothing's happened for the Bulls so far. Literally nothing. I can't think of any positive. Yeah, he's under pressure is Jan Krobler, and now gets the throw very, very wrong. Right, Ronan Keller here to feed. 7 minutes. Bulls got to find something here. Have to find something. Gibson Park goes to O'Brien. O'Brien pops it up to Conan. Cameron Honeycomb going for the rip. That's what I love about Cameron Honeycomb. He always looks to try and make something happen, whether it's a turnover, even in every tackle. He's looking for a hold up, or can he rip the ball in the tackle? Always looks for the intelligent play. Now Prendergast. Long pass out wide. Oh, it's a horrible attempted to pass on from O'Brien. Knock on advantage, and they'll go back for the scrum. And this could be a moment for the Bulls. Scrum penalty, go to the corner, score a try. That's got to be their thinking at this stage. Aggressive play. I mean, surely they're not going to lose a fourth final. Fourth final. I mean, the Lions are bad with 3. I had to go through that heartbreak. But 4, yeah, I'll tell you what, that's a different level of heartbreak. Especially when you're not competing, you know. It's just so frustrating because you're kind of building up thinking, oh, maybe this is our year. But now it just becomes, you kind of just become always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They're going to try to keep this in. They're going to try and make a play here. Use it as a call from PRD. They definitely got the ascendancy down the left-hand side. Pollard goes to Shavina Jacobs. Bangs! Oh, Prendergast he goes. But now fighting stay in touch. Throws it behind. We're not here there to gather up the scraps. So Bulls still with the ball in hand. Advantage for the Bulls. Not sure if it was a knock-on. I think it was actually offside. So penalty advantage. Gerard Stennekamp. Yeah, penalty advantage from the Bulls. Free play of the dive. Ball chipped over the top by Ambrose Pierre. I'll go back for the penalty. And to the corner they go. JD Quinn saying Bulls are in the final, not any of those other South African loser teams. Well, at this stage, they've been to 4 finals and have as many URC trophies as the Sharks and the Lions combined. I think I'd rather be the Stormers, to be honest, with 2 finals and 1 win. That's what I got told from as a Lions fan for how many years? Yeah, you got to 3 finals, but where is the trophy at the end of the day? So yeah, you're in the final, but 100%. But gotta win it. You gotta win it. Run from Mark, down to Ambrose Pierre. Pollard, short. Harold Forster into the 22. Round the corner comes Ruan from Mark. Now there's Ulrich Lowe, the sheriff. Can he start to conjure up something? Billy LaRue, Kane Moody, flat. And ball's been lost in contact. Oh, I tell you what, poor Kane Moody's having a bit of a disaster class here. It's just not happening for the youngster. It's Max Deegan who dislodges the ball in the tackle. Maybe Bulls just need half time. That'd be quite a comeback to come from 22-0 down to win the game. Look, I'm here for it. I'm here for the drama. Love me a bit of drama. Thomas Clarkson, man on the bench, is up to in case Tyke Furlong can't continue. Not a bad crowd in a Croke Park. I was hoping we're gonna get a 50,000. I mean, I got told by one of the fans in the last stream that Croke Park's going to break the record because it's an 80,000 seater, but well less than half of that at the moment. Some of the comments, Bulls say, Moody having a stinker. Hello, Kevin. Hope you're well. Crispina is saying, trust me, Leinster fans, no heartbreak at finals. We lost 4 or now 5 European finals. The SC teams are great teams, delighted you are in the URC comp. Well, we're also happy to be here. As a Lions fan, happy to be in the Champions Cup next year. Big shout out to the lads. Now to the right-hand side, Prendergast looking for touch. I think it's the best touch, far towards the 10-meter. No, but further than that, says the linesman. I think it's a bit generous. Up towards the halfway line. Bulls will have to start again. 2.5 minutes left in the clock. You run from Mark. Now Marcus Garcia off the back. It's a good sack that from Leinster. Paul's going to have to rethink this, and Ambrose appears, asking for a couple of ball carries. Goes up to Ulrich Lowe. Not winning the gain line advantage at the moment of the Bulls, and that's the problem. You think that physically they need to try and impose themselves on Leinster. Hasn't quite happened yet. Oh, that's not a good kick from Ambrose Pierre. It's circling. Knocked back towards Leinster. Run from Mark on Tyke Furlong. No. Can't complete the tackle, so Ambrose Pierre will complete it. Ten-meter line now. Gibson Park chips over the top. Call comes from Tommy O'Brien. Ruan O'Keefe reads it very well. Offload. Oh, goodness me. It's such an intelligent offload, and Pollard's knocked it on. And somebody just mentioned in the comments that Pollard's anonymous. I tell you, he's less than anonymous at the moment. Tommy O'Brien now receiving a bit of treatment. Leinster players are down here. I don't know if this is the consequence of a long season. A lot of these players, to be fair, haven't played that much for Leinster. Like Furlong, for example, back. I think it's one of his first games about the last 2 months. Leo Cullen's seen enough for the first half from his coaching box. He's on his way down to the tunnel. I don't think the halftime chat is very difficult when you're 22-0 up. I mean, he's busy having a conversation with Gary Ringrose. You can still bring on later. What a pleasure. Now, it looks like Tommy, is he going to be able to continue? He doesn't look very happy. He's trying to walk it off here. Ringrose would be the natural replacement. It's as he competes for that ball. Yeah, it comes down that right leg pretty hard and awkwardly. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to continue. He's done. So that's another first half substitution coming for Leinster. He's going to try to stay on here, is Tommy O'Brien. I don't think he's going to last very long. He looks very uncomfortable. Darren says, maybe the Bulls are auditioning for a place in the next Bafana Soccer World Cup match. I'll tell you what, right now he wouldn't take them. At least Bafana got a draw last night. Up the lads. Free Maria is saying, this is so surprising. I think many felt the Bulls would really put in a performance. I thought Leinster would be a close game, not over yet though. Well, I think after what they saw the Stormers do, and the Stormers compete, I think people thought, yeah, you see, you can take a game to Leinster. You can push this team. They've not been pushed at this stage, and they've been good, Leinster, but the Bulls have also been pretty awful. So the scrum this time, Gibson Park goes to Jimmy O'Brien, left behind by Sam Prendergast. That'll be, yeah, a bit of a weird one. I don't know if he thought it was half time or not, but he just literally dropped it and then decided to just hammer it into touch in line with where he was. Very odd kick that. But anyway, we're going to finish with a scrum here. So the Bulls' best opportunity would be a scrum penalty. I keep saying it. Scrum penalty. Haven't got it yet. Haven't got one. And that's why I'd be very surprised if Wilco Lowe doesn't come walking out that change room in the second half. They need something. The lineout's not working. The scrum, they're not being dominated, but they're not winning penalties. They're not dominating. They're definitely the better scrum, but not enough. Premier is saying, in fairness, it's hard with the distance to travel at the end of a long season. They have had 2 weeks, to be fair. They came back, they refreshed, went over there. So, I mean, I get that's a much better scrum. Will they get the reward? Will they get the reward? They're still going forward. There's the advantage. What did I say? Willie Leroux carrying himself out of all people. Nice line being run there. Moscow fighting in the tackle. That's what we need a bit from the Bulls. A bit of fight. Ball is out. Kurt Lawrence under a bit of pressure. Penalty for the Bulls. Right. Off to the corner they go. Bulls, Q4M say, not really surprised by the Bulls' defense. Has been in 6s and 7s all season. Finally got exposed. On agreeing, saying, Freeman says, I have to go to Glasgow, back to SA, then back to Dublin. Yeah, but they could have stayed at Dublin, in fairness. That's what the Lions did. They basically had a little 2-week draw, patrolling in Ireland. So there is the travelling factor. I get that, but, you know, you were back here for a full week to recover. You know, you then flew over there out on, I think, on Sunday. So I'm not sure they can really use it as an excuse. Yeah, I know they understand they've been on the road, but... And there is Tommy O'Brien going, okay, Ringrose onto the park, which we'll see Rico Awani go to the wing. Messi line once again. But penalty this time for coming over the top, so they'll be able to progress further. Snag saying, why is their team such good scrummagers? Irish team's not small, so it's not size. I think it's an undying love for it for a start. And it's an interesting one, you know. As you said, it's not a size thing, you know. You look at... Has he kicked that dead? Oh, he's kicked it dead. Well, one of the worst halves I've seen for a while from the Bulls ended on a note where Andre Pollard then kicked the ball dead as they could have trying to find a 5-meter line forward for a try. They go into the dugout 22-0 down. This will be the comeback of all comebacks if they were to have a sniff at winning. At this stage, it looks like Leinster one hand on the trophy. The question is, can the Bulls find something in the second half? And we'll find out after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. The Bulls have named no less than 11 Springboks in their starting 15 as they look to try and win their maiden URC title in Ireland on Friday night against Leinster. And it's such an imposing Leinster side that you're going to need all the help you can get. And 11 Springboks.
Everyone shot. No.
That's your warm up, eh?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. 3 minutes, guys. Thank you, Fuba. Thank you. Yep. 13. Back around 15. That breakdown on the first one. Yeah. And then the one was a.
Come on, this week.
Right, welcome back for the second half. And I think the good news is things can only get better from a Bulls point of view. Such was the half. And as I say that, Leinster already back on the attack. Yeah, listen, let's call a spade. An awful first half means the Bulls have everything to do. Shamina Jacobs is railed in by Rico Awani. Yeah, listen, not a good first half here from the Bulls. And they'll need nothing short of a miracle if they are going to try and win the URC. Billy Roux goes to the boot. And Andre Pollard, who had a bit of a shock in the first half, will give chase. Gibson Park gets the first, and they miss the ball. And Ruan Vermaak gets it away to Caden Moody. Offloads it, gets a good pickup from Moscow. See a good hand. Back on the angle, there goes Ulrich Lowe. Well, maybe the Bulls score an early try. And no, they don't. They lose the ball and it's turned over. Well, can't blame the guy for trying to find some hype. Lots of work to do. 20 points to 0 is the score. Leinster with a really good first half. Bulls not at the race at all. And I think Johan Ackerman would have been pretty peeved at halftime, and I reckon the Bulls would have got quite a big rollicking. So expect a response of some sort. And Villaroo, the ball gets knocked backwards from Leinster. The call back to Ruan from Mark. Embrace appear, quick ball out to Pollard. Pollard goes for the cross kick. Junior Yarkos, that's perfectly weighted. He comes onto the ball. Tackled by Prendergast. Ball available. Moody spinning in the tackle. It's already a bit better from the Bulls here. Bruce Pierre goes, no, and loses it forward. Every single time I keep saying something's going well, they lose the ball forward or something. Knock on advantage for Leinster, and they'll go back for the scrum. I'm surprised that Francois Klopp has come back out here. They did get a penalty towards the end of the first half, but surely you've got to unleash Wilco Low sooner rather than later. It was a really good cross kick this year from Pollard. A bit of a ingenuity. Well weighted. Good tackle that from Prendergast. And they're right on the front foot. Ambrose Appear into the breadbasket and straight through the hands of Ruan O'Keefe, who was one of the better players actually in the first half. So maybe Jan Ackerman could not look more peeved if he tried. The poor man is not happy. Some of the comments at halftime. Tana2 says, congratulations, Leinster. You are the new champions. Here's your cup. Geesh, wow, I didn't even need to finish the game to announce the winner. We already see the winner at halftime. Yeah, well, was that bad, in fairness. You know, I think at the end of the day, the message from Jan Ackerman probably would have been, you got to play for a bit of pride now. You know, you got to play for the badge. You were horrendous in that first half. It's a bit embarrassing, to be honest. The best thing you could do is go out and show a bit of fight. Go and give Bulls fans something a little bit just to hold their head up high, because 20-0 at halftime in a final is pretty awful. So let's see. Big 40 minutes ahead. They'll need to score quickly to try and get themselves something back into this game. Gibson Park, it's a really good clearance. And this is also the problem. As much as the Bulls now trying to force the issue, when you've got the brilliance of a Gibson Park, who just there, scrum, bang, bang, kicking behind, Bulls back inside their own half on the 10-meter line. They just can't find any sort of momentum. My unpopular opinion is if I had to pick a fly half for a World 15, is I'd take Gibson Park. I think as an individual player, Anton Dupont is absolutely sublime and superb and can do so many different things, but I think Gibson Park makes teams tick. Right, so the solution to fixing the line is basically throwing it to the center of the park. Ruan and O'Keefe basically just kept going further and further back until there was absolutely no opportunity for Leinster to try and contest. It didn't work. And that's now been charged down. The kick from Ambrose Appear, not backwards from Kane and Moody. Kick backwards from Kurt Lawrence. Runs into Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy all over Kurt Lawrence, fighting hard. Eventually gets brought down to ground, but back towards 22. And you can see the frustration there from Ambrose Appear, asking people to come around to give him an option. Oh my living, and actually it's knocked straight forward by Ruan from Mark. Turnover ball here from Leinster. Pops it up for Josh van der Vlier. Conan, lock boss behind James Lowe. It's not particularly good rugby here, I won't lie. Hugo Keenan caught in the ball on the 22. I think it's still knock on advantage here from Leinster. Should be knock on over now. McCarthy. Ball available for Gibson Park. Back to Prendergast. Prendergast goes to the boot. This time will somebody claim it? Andre Pollard wants it. Loses it forward. Gary Ringrose comes away with it. Gary Ringrose just short. Kelleher thought about the Hail Mary, decides to keep it, but Leinster on the doorstep. Josh van der Vlier. Ruan O'Keefe completes the tackle. Ball comes backwards, popped up to Joe McCarthy. Ruan O'Keefe is there, as well as Cameron Harnicombe. Leinster score here, and that you might as well just call the game. Ball available for Gibson Park. Desperate defense now for the Bulls. Pick up and go from Jack Conan. On for Kellen Doris. Ball available for Ty Furlong. Pick up and go at him. Now pick up and go from Josh van der Vlier. Going through the phases here on Leinster. Pick up and go from Jack Conan, looking to almost catch the Bulls by surprise. Harold Forster and Johan Krobelov react well. Still going over the Bulls. or Leinster rather. Lots of space out wide if they want to go that route. But Leroux's outside by himself, and I think if this goes wide, they could be in a lot of trouble. Jack Coden, penalty advantage for going offside. Cameron Hanekom's jumped the gun here. So free roll the dice, and they do go wide and straight. Almost straight through goes, pick up and go, and Jan Prendergast. Well, they'll have a look, but I think he might be over. Oh, dearie me. Well, they're going to go up and check to see if he got clean grounding. If he did, this is try number 4 for Leinster. And if not, it'll be a penalty anyway, so they'll go back for the advantage. You're not seeing anything from that angle. He needs something a bit better here. Does he get the ball down? Yeah, he does. He does indeed. Sam Prendergast. Well, he's having a pretty good game, is Sam Prendergast. And I think it was Skalkberger spoke about the fact that he's been under a lot of, in fact, even the commentators spoke about the fact that he's been under a lot of pressure from his defensive work, for example, if you put him on the back foot. But at the same time, if he gets good front foot ball, there's a good player in there from Sam Prendergast. And for all the scrutiny he's been under recently, he's had a game today. He really has. So 27-0 with the kick to come. And I think at this stage, Hanako might as well just throw on the bench. See what happens. You can't go any worse yet. No mistake off the tee this time from Sam Prendergast. 29-0. Eish. Last year was what? 32-7, I think. Just winning all the small battles here, old Leinster. They go short for the kickoff, and Clarkson is on as well as Dan Sheehan for Leinster. Ball over the top, underneath it, well taken this time from Billy Leroux. Gets to offload away to Curly Arns. Curly Arns gets away from a couple. Need to get him into the game a bit more. Ambrose Pierre. No sub so far from the Bulls. Albert Lowe spinning in the tackle. Ball available for Ambrose Pierre. Quick ball goes back to Pollard. Pollard wants to go himself. Caden Moody running a dummy line. Run straight past him. Back to Ambrose Pierre. Marcel Gutsia now. And penalty coming from the side, says the referee. Oh, sorry, I take it all back. It's actually sealing off with obstruction there, so it's penalty for Leinster. He turned around, did Andrew Piardi. So, yeah, from bad to worse. Bad to worse. And here comes Alex Ustinov. So a brand new front row from Leinster. Still no subs at this stage for the Bulls. I would have brought on the entire bloody bench at this rate. Run from Mark, that's well done from him, and that's going to be a knock-on from Leinster. Done well there's run from Mark on up and just interfere with that lineup, force the knock-on. Well, let's see if the Bulls to start getting early ascendancy. Right, Cameron Harnecombe breaks the back of the scrum. No penalty this time. Wrestling hard to get to the ground. And Ambrose Pierre to the right-hand side. Jan Krobbeler. Ambrose Pierre going to the boot. Kurt Lawrence gives chase. Up against James Lowe. James Lowe knocks it back. Josh van der Fleer gathers. On the halfway line now. Leinster with the ball. Right, Shvina Jacobs, all that ball that's behind, and Kenny Moore has to go back and clean up. Does well, though. Ball available for Ambrose Pierre. Look here, caught to the ball. Right, lifts it high. Gives chase to Shavina Jacobs. Forward off of Hugo Keenan into the hands of Ulrich Lowe. LaRue pops up to Forster. Hands with the space now for Kurt Lawrence. Steps inside. Kurt Lawrence eventually brought down by Dan Sheehan. Penalty advantage for offside for LaRue. Pollard spinning around the tackle. Well picked up from Cameron Harnecombe off the ground. Gets off that away to Ambrose Pierre. Good hands into Marcel Garcia. Marcel Garcia's got Kenny Mooney for company. Marcel Garcia brings it out wide. Shavina Jacobs comes back inside. Sits down. James Gibson Park. 5 meters out. Kenny Mooney. Oh, that's a really good tackle from Rico Awani. And ball comes out. Penalty advantage. And there'll be a penalty for the Bulls, I think. Yeah, it will be. Right, offside, 5 meter line, and pop out to surely the Bulls. If the Bulls score now, it'll be quite a similar scoreline to last year. Oh, bit of a set move there. It's not quite come off, but they have retained it to Harold Forster. Nice to get back on the line there. Penalty advantage, though, from Piatti. Albert Lowe. Ambrose Pierre. And left it behind there, the Bulls. Go back for the penalty once again. Phoenix says, Pollard is such a world-class legacy. What is the consensus now? Used to live near him in the UK. He's a very nice guy. I think we all appreciate Andre Pollard for what he's done. Must admit, he's not been particularly good these last 2 games. There's hope he finds a bit of form when he puts on that green. Well, here comes the Bulls bomb squad. Jean-Ray Rudolph, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Kobus Wiese, Marco van Staden, Wilco Lowe. And there goes Ulrich Lowe. He'll be on a plane back, and I'll be expecting him to be announced in the box squad on Sunday. Cameron Harnecombe giving way as well as Gerard Stennekamp. The good news for Bulls fans is there's a mock game tomorrow. We can put this behind us. We can get the brandies going. And we can watch Rusty and the lads back on our screens. Oh no, we're having a TMO here. Potential foul play. Imagine this is one of the Bulls players. No. So what are we having a look at here? Okay, so looking at this is actually being a deliberate knockdown from Dan Sheehan. So maybe it's Leinster with the yellow card. Well, the Bulls could be back here. Leinster potentially down to 14 men. The TMO coming in clutch. Nah, no yellow card. Never mind. Never mind. Right, so they've called a scrum of the Bulls. Why wouldn't you when you bring on Volcolo? Penalty try would go down well here. No, just saying, very surprised at this Bulls performance. I'm agreeing with Adam saying this is a hard watch. Penalty from the scrum. That's exactly what they want. And I'm sure he'll call them the thighs on Volcolo. Also his last game, by the way, for the Bulls. He's off to Stormers. And as expected, they call another scrum. Katsia driving towards the line, 2 meters out. Harold Foster picks up and goes. I think he's over, you know. Yeah. Oh, they say held up. I tell you what, I would say have a look at that. He's asking to have a look there. Piotti's on the wrong side here. I think he's going to have a look here as Piotti. Yeah, so Forster has basically said, Piotti's on the other side. He said held up, and Forster said, no, go, look, I got grounding there. Rugby values and all that. I think he has got grounding yet, to be fair. Yeah, you see, he literally said, I decided to because you're convinced she scored. And I think he does. I think what Piotti doesn't see is the fact he goes underneath here. Fair play to Piotti for listening to the plan. Yeah, you see, there, he is over. I think he's over on this side. Piotti obviously is unsighted. Yeah, he's over. He's over. I think this is going to be a try. They're saying no evidence. I think that's quite a wild call. I think Jan Ackerman agrees. I think it was a try. Commenters are saying I think it's a try. They're saying there's not enough evidence to overturn the decision, which was no try. I think it's enough decision. I think that was a try. I think it was quite clearly a try. Knock on by Bulls from the up and under from the restart there. And when it's not Unite, it's not Unite, eh? Not that I think that's going to make the biggest difference in the world. But I do think that is harsh. I do think that is harsh. So it's going to be a knock-on. Yeah, we'll go back. Knock-ons aren't the worst thing here for Bulls. Got a weird stadium, isn't it, Croke Park, with that lack of roof on the one side. Massive stadium. But the Leinster fans are going to watch their team lift another trophy in about 25 minutes' time at this rate, unless something really, really strange happens. The Bulls have scored 30 points in less than 25 minutes if they were to win this URC. Don't think that's happening. And instability at the scrum. We're going to have a reset. And then tomorrow, look what I can do. Look what I can do. Tomorrow we are going. Let's see if this works. Yeah, all green for tomorrow. Up the lads. Yeah, small things in life. Small things in life. Green for the Boks. Wait for go red for the Lions. Got to get some like flashing lights for like a try tomorrow. That's where this game has gone. The lights are probably the most fun I've had so far in this Watchalong. Right, to the left-hand side, there you go. O'Brien pops it up for Prendergast. Once again, the overlap seems to be working for the Bulls team. And Hunt's, by the way, onto the park. And kicked him behind from Hugo Keenan, but well fielded there by Villaroo, who's available. Ball to the left-hand side to Kane Moody. Kane Moody is going to chip and chase. Regathers. Gets the offload away as well to Kubas Visa. Good follow-up that from the big man. Ball available for Ambrose Pierre to the right-hand side. His numbers out wide. Oh, that's going to be a yellow card. He's saying 2 hands. The ref's saying no. He's going to have a look. I never backed this whole 1 hand, 2 hand thing. I really think that that's got nothing to do with it. I think it's got to be what is the likelihood of regathering? Because you can knock the ball up, for example, regather it. That's absolutely fine. And this, I think, is very deliberate. I mean, the fact you got 2 hands, inverted commas, I don't think that should have anything to do with it. This is a very deliberate knockdown. Nah, 2 hands, my ass. What do you mean 2 hands? How do you just lie like that, knowing that they're going to go to the TMO? Nice try. Nice try. Oh, I've got 2 hands, Rev. Are you mad? Well, the Bulls had 2 of them in the first half. Now Leinster will have 1 of them in the second half. I'm not sure how much difference it's really going to make at this stage. But James Lowe will go to the bin. Short line for the Bulls, just a 3-man lineout. For Pierre. Master Gutierrez in the midfield. Ball available for Pierre to the right-hand side this time. Ed Vessels pops it up. It's a pretty poor pass, and Kurt Lawrence is having to go back and fetch. Kurt Lawrence, however, gets away from 1. Kurt Lawrence gets away from 2. Yes, Kurt Lawrence at his best, up towards 22. Ambrose Pierre, flat. Getting through half a gap there. Master Gutierrez, Ambrose Pierre, quick ball here. Jan Vessels now on the ball. And turned over once again from Leicester. They dominated every single battle, bar the scrum battle. Josh van der Vliet gets the turnover. And another Bulls attack just dwindles out. I mean, they're going to be held scoreless at this rate. And then they do find touch. I just can't believe how poor the Bulls have been. Kane Moody now. And left the ball behind as Kubas Visa. The penalty initially for the Bulls. Offside is the call from Andrew Piatti. I mean, at this stage, the only positive for the Bulls is the fact that they've only conceded 1 try in the second half. Final 20 minutes. Yeah, Josh van der Fleer, that's interfering with Bruce appeared in an offside position there. Pretty easy decision from Piatti to make. Bit of a scuffle over there between Jasper Wiese and Joe McCarthy, but a good heavyweight bout that. Right, Bulls front of the line to Ruan here, trying for the rolling ball once again. Trying to peel down the right-hand side. Jan Krobler going forward to get the ball. He has got the ball. Not much give so far. Embrace Appeal will look to use it. Kane Moody straight through, and Bulls finally on the board. 62 minutes, taking over an hour for them to get over. But over they go eventually. And the Leinster defense, which has been pretty good, was pretty poor there. To call a spade, it was actually dreadful. Yeah, Prendergast gets that wrong there and creates that gap. Kane Moody over. Kick to come. The Bulls would basically almost have to like score immediately off the kickoff ×2 just to give themselves a half a chance at maybe getting to a draw and then going to extra time or something. Bless the little kid who still thinks there's a chance. Big celebration there. Right, 17 minutes to go. 22 points the deficit. It's 7-7 in the second half, if there's any consolation. Second half is currently tied. Cobus Wiese, nice big strong carry there. Right, Pollard goes to the cross kick. And Gibson Park is out in the wing over there. Just palms it out. Not the worst idea given the overlap for the lack of James Lowe. Right, better line out. The line out has functioned a lot better so far. Long pass from Pollard. There's space over here. There's definitely an overlap. Steban Hunt, and he slipped his Rico Awani, so Steban Hunt's going to get past him and then throw the ball straight back into his hands. Poor decisions were made there. Steban Hunt initially did so well. Didn't realize that Rico Awani had recovered and then popped it straight to him. Right, Gibson Park now goes to the boot. Kane Moody loses it forward. Now Jimmy O'Brien, not much options, goes himself. Gibson Park to the right hand side, just from the flare. Gets that quick ball here from Gibson Park. McCarthy goes flying over. Not much happening there. So Prendergast just hammers it there, but not much contact on it. So Billy LaRue fields it and puts it in behind. Gibson Park's going to have to go back and fetch it. Billy LaRue, the lone chaser. Gibson Park right up against the touchline. Keeps it in play. Ball bobbles just ahead of Ambrose Pierre. Right, Andre Pollard, he's looking to run it himself. Chip and chase. Ringrose reads it well, though. Curtly Arnson makes the tackle. Gives the Park once the ball popped up to him. Doesn't come. Shear now out on the wing. Penalty, though, for Jean Rudolph. What a season he's had. Quickly taken from Ambrose Pierre to Villy LaRue. Villy LaRue sees the space out wide. Steben Kuntz now. Steps away from the tackle from Gary Ringrose. Now to the right-hand side. Wilco Load takes contact. No hand, says the ref. Ambrose Pierre. To the right-hand side. Villy LaRue dabs the kick in behind. Not the worst option. Sam Prendergast under pressure. Turns. It's a very good touch finder under pressure. Villy LaRue takes it quickly, though. Throws it long. Andre Pollard on the tail of Forster. Throws a long pass out wide. Marco Verstappen. Cheapers. Runs over Harry Byrne, who's just come onto the park. And is down with a pretty sore shoulder. Now, Kane Moody sees half again. Gets the Hail Mary, gets the weight of the uninjured vessel on hands. Ruud is going to go over. Good hands from uninjured vessels. Oh, where's this been from the Bulls? Will be the question that they'll all be asking. You can't wait to get to this stage of the game and then start throwing everything at it. That's a great shot. It's good hands. Oh, why am I hearing a double whistle, blow the whistle? Oh no, we're going to have a look at the forward pass potentially. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Could this yet be chalked off? Well, James Bond reckons the Bulls are going to win easily, so no issue there. He's called it. I don't think it's that pass. It's the pass from Kane Moody here. That's the question. Kane Moody gets it over here. He throws the Hail Mary there. I think it's backwards out the hand. There's no issue that from the pass from Jan Vessel. I think Kane Moody's one's initially backward out the hand. I think it's out the hand backwards. I think that should be it. Given the fact that I think Harold Forster did score earlier and was chalked off, I think they should give the benefit of the doubt here. That angle, it looks like it's going forward, but I think in the other angle, I think it does come out of his hand backwards. Pretty marginal. Coming back to Piade. Yeah, he said from that angle, it looks very clear the ball exits forward. Well, that's 2 tries that have been chalked off for the Bulls. Yeah, Ackerman, very bemused. If both those tries are stood, it could be a 21 point game. Yeah, I think that's harsh. I think both of them are quite harsh, to be honest. 29-21, what a difference that could make. There's the narrative. There's a narrative. Harry Byrne on for Sam Prendergast. Big scrum there from the Bulls, but they do use it as Jack Conan. Kicking behind. Willie LaRue. Long pass I to Kurt Lawrencer. Chip and chase with Kurt Lawrencer. Really good kick that again from a second time, but fielded by Harry Byrne. Josh van der Fleer. Goes to the boot. Gibson Park. Knocked back by Kane Mooney, but into the hands of Max Deegan. Maybe Leinster looking to finish with a flourish. And he does find touch. A really good kick that from Gibson Park. And that's where he's so good, just in managing things. And James Lowe back onto the park, so Leinster back to a full contingent. There goes Joe McCarthy. Big game from him. Very, very big game from him. Right, Cooper's visa goes up. Zach Berger onto the park, show and go. Philco low. Bashes up, finds a couple of yards. Now Zach Berger lifts it up. Kenny Mooney will give chase. Into the final 10 minutes. Game management now here for Leinster, and Harry Byrne does exactly that. Goes to the boot. Lowe will give chase with Hugo Keenan. Villaroo, however, will take it well, and he has marked it. Taking it quickly as Villaroo. Kurt Lawrenson now goes to the boot. And doesn't find touch. No, it does find touch. Bounced on the line, I think, is what the touch judge has said. His car. He had a bit of a disaster cameo off the bench again in the semi-final. Great player, lots of experience. Nice player to be able to bring on in these circumstances, but didn't have a good time last time he came. 8.5 minutes left on the clock. Dan Sheehan to feed the line on the left-hand side here. 5-man line for Leinster. Well taken from James Ryan. Looking for only more here. It's initially well set. Gibson Park wants the ball, though. Jack Conan adds his body to the mix. Piari just telling the Bulls players to calm down. I think there's a bit of words in the mix over there. Gibson Park goes to the boot. Kurt Lawrence goes up, but it falls towards Leinster. Back into the hands of Jack Conan. Knock-on advantage as well for the men in blue. And now it'll be a penalty advantage for going straight over. Gibson Park. Oh, what a take that is from Max Deegan. Goodness me, one-handed. Down the wing he goes. I don't know how he's held on to that. That was phenomenal by Max Deegan. Gibson Park goes to O'Brien. O'Brien caught in the ball. Ball goes loose. They'll go back for the penalty. What a take that is. I mean, the man took it from back here. I don't know how it's stuck. Well, if you'd like to have a little bit of fun, you can go and rate the Bulls' performances, which I don't think are going to be very high ratings. But you can go and check out mypicks.app, and you can go and rate the players. And as I said, I don't think it's going to be a particularly high rating for the poor lads. But yeah, go give them a rating between 1 and 10. Go and share it with your mates. Let me know what you're rating them over here. Go get your accounts all ready for tomorrow's player rating show. For Forever Box tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, that. Got an SAA game. We've got a new, somebody making their debut on the commentary tomorrow on the live watch along for the SAA game. My man Connor's going to be on tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So if you guys give him all the love. And I'll be with you guys at 3 o'clock for the Box versus Barbarians. So a bit of a new face on the channel. Dan Sheehan, right, 6.5 minutes left on the clock here. Looking for the rolling Moya. Oh, Leinster looking to peel off to the left-hand side now. Ball comes loose, though. Comes through to Jean-Louis Rudolph. Ball available, though, for... that's Luke McGraw's on the park. You know that Leinster pretty much have games wrapped up when Luke McGraw comes on. Not because he's bad, because Emerson Gibson Park is just such an important part of the Leinster side. Back to Max Deegan. He's had a strong game. Good couple of man of the match candidates here. I'm sure Prendergast will be up there. Gibson Park will usually be up there. I think Max Deegan could be up there. I think there's a shot for McCarthy to be in that mix as well. McGraw pops it up for O'Brien. Clarkson up, pick up and go. Kubas Visa makes the tackle. I mean, at this stage, this is a 3-point difference from what it was last year. Last year was 32 points to 7 final score. So I suppose in that sense, it's an improvement for the Bulls. Not sure how much solace they'll find in it. Jean Rudolph makes a good tackle there. Timed it well, but Leinster do retain the ball. Marco Verstaetten's on the ball. Ball is there, says Andre Piatti. Oh, that's pretty poor, but the ball's available for Josh van der Fleer. Bulls just can't get their hands anywhere near it. I mean, it's almost 2 minutes they've been defending this so far. Luke McGraw looking for options. Goes to Conan. Ball available once again. I mean, this is just soul sapping for the Bulls. You have to defend whilst being 22 points down. I think Vilcolo might have just thrown up, by the way, on the pitch. That was pretty wild. And the Harry Burner's over. Try number 5 for Leinster. And, I mean, they'd already won the game. But that's the icing on the cake. But I'm pretty sure that my man Vilcolo just watered the field there. This is bizarre. I've never seen that during a phase of play. He has been ill recently as Vilcolo. That's why he missed the quarterfinal. 34 points to 7. Well, you know, I was going to say it was a scoreline improvement, but not anymore. Now it's 36 points to 7. $36 points to 7 in. I've taken it quickly here, and Leinster have got the ball back. Now Bulls have won the penalty. Zach Burger's taking it quickly. Long pass out to the left-hand side. Yep. Not a great pass that, but Howard Forster's done really well. Really LaRue now on the ball. Zach Burger to the right-hand side. Ruan Nokia still going. Cross kick coming towards Cody Arons. So Cody Arons throws it back inside of Jean-Ray Rudolph. He then loses it in contact. Yeah, Sam Prendergast, player of the match, thought he would be. All the players coming down to rush the pitch and celebrate with their rest of the teammates. He's been a lot of scrutiny recently as Prendergast, but in fairness to him, he stood up today. Could be a coming of age performance, actually, really, for him. Free kick to the Bulls, taking too long, or not taking the hit, says the referee. Zach Burger taps it quickly. Can they get a consolation try? Marcel Coetzee. Cobus Visa in the midfield there. Pollard to Willie LaRue. And on the turn, Kane Mooney puts in the goosey. Kane Mooney, those wrapped up, and I think it's going to go out for a line out. It's a really good tackle out wide there from Gary Ringrose. Confirmed, I'm not the only one that saw Volko Low walk to the field, basically, and then just she make a tackle. Oh no, imagine the poor man, what he would have hit. Landing in it. Oh no, the more I think about it, the worse it gets. And they've taken the line of Leinster. All they're going to do is pop it out, and that is their season finished with silverware. And Luke McGrath has done just that. URC champions Leinster go back to back. The Bulls not at the races. Absolutely blown away in Dublin. And, well, they couldn't get the Champions Cup, but they are the URC champions, are Leinster. And today, a different class to the rest. Well, the Bulls, it's 4 finals and no victories. When will it eventually come will be the big question. I do think that they're trending in the right direction towards the second half of the season. And that'll probably be the big positive that Jahan Ackerman will say. In his first season, they got to a final. That, you know, it's a group of players that did grow as the season went on, but just not good enough at the end of the day. And I think the start they had meant that a home final was always going to be too much. And Marcel could see there, a couple of the Bulls players, smiles there. They know they've been well beaten. But yeah, they've got to try get it back at home final. I mean, I always say that Glasgow was that big missed opportunity 2 years ago, because that was where they really should have gotten over the line. Not to be for the Bulls. For Leinster, it's a really, really well-deserved trophy. It all started really poorly, but once they got going in the URC, they never really looked back, and it's been a pretty clinical performance from them. People, thank you very much for joining me on a late night, on a Friday night. We will be live tomorrow for both games, and a new face on the channel in the morning. Myself back at 3 o'clock for the Bok game. Press match conferences for both the games and all the likes happening tomorrow. So keep it locked on Forever Sports. Subscribe to the channel as well.